Escaping her horrible life had made her the top student at her rural school, longing for freedom. One day she finds a small abandoned house and uses it to study, but soon realizes that Beomjin, a notorious school bully, was the first to use that house. Despite this, sharing the house makes them get to know each other, and they soon discover they have more in common than they ever imagined, forging something more than just a friendship. Everything begins at a school, a place that is more like a battle royale. Everyone fighting to survive so many things, and at least Junyeong Yun was one of the strong ones, but she had a certain hatred or perhaps a bit of envy for the prince of the school. According to Jeon Woo, because of the way he acted, she saw him as a mommy's boy, a guy who was very popular for his looks and his money, plus his mother is the benefactor of the school. Anyway, a charming little prince who always lived under his mother's shadow, but he has one flaw. He doesn't like to study. Unlike her, who participates without any problem and shows that she actually dedicates herself. Junyeong Yun was outstanding for being one of the best students in the school, although this school seemed a bit low for the level of knowledge she had. And since she always answered every single thing, her teacher did not hesitate to embarrass Singwon for losing to a girl. At that moment, in the back of the classroom, there was a guy, a very handsome and sleepy cat. He washes his face. This guy is named Beomjin, who upon waking up, mentioned that the class was over. His teacher got angry with him, but Jin did not hesitate to say that he needs to go to the bathroom. He was even already unbuckling his belt, so the teacher, although indignant, had to allow him to leave and brought the class to an end. All the classmates knew Beomjin as a gangster, and Sungwon, when classes ended, apologized for Hun, because since he didn't answer the teacher's question, she had to do it for him. But Junyeong Yun didn't pay any attention to him. Rather annoyed, she asked him to get out of her way. One of the girls behind Sungwon got angry, telling him that he doesn't have to talk to her because they say she is a problematic girl. But the real problem Junyeong Yun had was a bit of envy. Sungwon has everything to stand out and be perfect, while if she wants to achieve something, she must sacrifice herself day and night, and that is why she hated him. As soon as classes ended, Junyeong Yun would head to a mountain, entering a small, abandoned house, a quiet place, perfect for studying, because at school it is impossible to concentrate. Many girls bother her and interrupt her, but she remembered it was on a night after being beaten by her drunk mother that she went out walking aimlessly, reaching this place and finding her perfect spot to escape from everything. But she soon discovered that this place, even furnished, was already occupied by someone else, finding an unexpected tenant. The handsome, sleepy cat, Beomjin, the guy with the worst reputation in the school and the entire town. This guy, while Junyeong Yun studied, spent the whole day sleeping, and for food, it was always the same, the famous ramen. But as you can see, they managed to understand each other and occupy this abandoned house together. Junyeong Yun had known about Beomjin when he lost his parents while still young. He had moved to one of his relatives' houses and transferred to her school because at the previous one, he had beaten a teacher. From then on, his reputation was tarnished because it was said that he came from a family of gangsters, and that was why his parents died. However, although the two of them were classmates, they hadn't even spoken to each other. Eun thought it would be like this until the day of their graduation, but she soon knew that life takes unexpected turns, since a week after finding the house, while she was there studying, because of a noise, she discovered that Beomjin was sleeping on the second floor in a bed, and she almost had a heart attack. He looked at her with furious eyes because he didn't understand what she was doing there. Eun apologized, telling him she didn't know the house had been occupied. She wanted to run out of there because she knew this guy's reputation. But suddenly, he told her that it is not his house, that it was empty, and no one had arrived for a month, except for her. Junyeong Yun was curious to know what he was doing there, but this guy obviously liked to sleep. Thus he left her so she could study and caused her no problem, just like a sleepy cat. Junyeong Yun thought the right thing to do was to leave that house because she didn't know what sinister things he would do to her with the reputation he has. But she also knew that this is the only quiet place where she can study. And since that house has no owner, no one could claim it. Very determined, she went up to the second floor and tried to wake him up, but this brute almost made her fall from the second floor. But since his reflexes were so fast, he managed to catch her. He pulled her to his chest, telling her to be careful. Junyeong Yun was blushing. She asked him to step away, but this sleepy cat had only done it to save her. Junyeong Yun asked him how he knew she comes to study at this house, and he told her that he had seen her 2 days ago when he woke up. And just by looking at her back, he realized it was her, but he decided to say nothing and kept sleeping. Besides, he was aware that her goal is not the bed, so he thought that coexistence would be good between both since they both needed a quiet place. Una asked why he didn't go to sleep at his house, but Beomjin returned the question, why doesn't she study at her house? And since both have different problems in their homes, neither of the two knew what to answer. In the end, Junyeong Yun decided that if this house is empty and both were going to live in it, they should buy at least a lock to make it safer, and thus they would share this dwelling. She would give him a copy of the key so he could enter. And after speaking, Beomjin, without hesitation, ran to his space in the house because he needs to take a good nap. Junyeong Yun didn't know if this was really going to work and asked him if it is true that he knows who she is. Beomjin, without hesitation, told her name, and Junyeong Yun knew that for the moment she had no other place to go, so she had to accept living with him. From that moment on, both divided the house to be able to coexist without problems. Beomjin had the second floor where he could sleep peacefully, and she had the study on the first floor where she could study without anyone bothering her. And although they lived together in that house, at school they continued to be like a pair of strangers. Although in reality, they didn't have reasons to start talking either. But at home it was different, because although they didn't speak, he always prepared ramen so they could eat together. And that was how they began to have brief conversations. The only problem there was that every day he cooked ramen. The coexistence between these two classmates was good, although they had their ups and downs because there were things she didn't like, but she also knew perfectly well that he is a pretty good guy compared to the others. Even one day, he purposely stained her shirt, upsetting Junyeong Yun because it was the only shirt she had to be able to go to school. Junyeong Yun felt like giving him a punch in the face for what he had done, but suddenly, he asked her to take off the shirt, leaving her in shock. So much so that she ended up hitting her head terribly. To Beomjin, it seemed like she was very clumsy because she always ends up hitting herself, but suddenly he took off his shirt, revealing his beautiful abs, as they usually say, his beautiful washboard. And again he repeated for her to take off the shirt and put on his, so he could wash her shirt with soap. Junyeong Yun knew that washing clothes for her is a torture, so she decided to accept that he be the one to wash it. A short while later, she found herself wearing Beomjin's shirt, and it didn't look bad at all on her, while he went straight to wash the shirt. Junyeong Yun could not stop looking at the spectacular body he had, and suddenly she began to perceive the smell of his shirt. He, realizing it, asked her what she was doing, and she, blushing and embarrassed, told him that simply the ramen was spicy, although in reality she was dying of embarrassment because she was caught red-handed. After having studied for a few hours, Junyeong Yun had to go home, and just at that moment, the sleepy cat woke up. It was as if he already knew the time she had to return home. This time, he didn't want to let her go alone because it is late, and it was very dark. But she supposedly had a flashlight with which she could light the path to her house. But, for him, with that, she would be giving away her location. So he went to the cupboard and pulled out a small branch. Junyeong Yun, seeing him, felt a terrible fear because she thought that now indeed her end had arrived. The cat only wanted to accompany her to her house and asked her to hold on to that branch so as not to get lost. From that day on, Beomjin accompanied Junyeong Yun every day to her house, and each time she coexisted more with him, she realized that he is a different person from what was rumored. But he did seem to be a cat that can see even through the darkness because he walked without even tripping. He advised her that to arrive safely home, she must leave there before the sun sets. And in the end, upon reaching the alley, he left her there and went away. And so Junyeong Yun arrived at her house. Seeing the bottles thrown at the door, she realized that her mother had gone back to drinking. She entered the house, and that woman threw cold water on her. She even beat her black and blue. The next morning, Yun felt very sick. Beomjin realized that something was not right with her after observing her, and suddenly one of her classmates pushed her. But since Junyeong Yun is no sweet angel, she flipped her the middle finger as a mockery. And this girl was named Chae Soo, and she always bothered Junyeong Yun. But this time, she was not willing to accept humiliations, since yesterday night she had had a terrible time. She had to sleep outside her house, and with wet clothes. Because of that, she had a cold. Meanwhile, Chae-seo, along with her friends, tried to make Junyeong Yun look ridiculous. Suddenly, Sing-un, seeing this situation, decided to throw the ball at her, but he did not measure his strength. He hit her in the head, making her fall unconscious. A short while later, Junyeong Yun woke up in the infirmary and realized that there were some papers covering the window so that the sun's rays wouldn't hit her directly. There was even a heater next to her. The doctor who was treating her appeared and, seeing the window and the heater, asked if it was her, but Junyeong Yun told her no. After checking her, the doctor sent her home to rest a bit, and suddenly she heard that someone was there. She thought it was Jin, but she was surprised because it was Sing-un, who was there to apologize for having hit her and making her faint, although she knew perfectly well that her fainting was not his fault, but because she was sick. But since she didn't like this vain guy at all, she told him that in that case he was there to see how big the wound he had caused her was. Sung-un told her that things were not like that he had seen her in the morning, looking a bit unwell, and that's why he had worried about her, but unintentionally, he had hit her. He apologized for having hurt her. Junyeong knew that his apologies were honest, but in her mind, there was only Beomjin. She got up from the bed to leave, but not without first thanking him for what he had done, the thing about covering the windows, and also for the heater. But to Sing-un, this seemed very strange. Suddenly, she was still weak and was about to fall, although he caught her, obviously. Why? Because he likes her. Suddenly, Beomjin appeared, turning the scene into something awkward. Out of nowhere. Sung-un stepped between her and Jin, and Junyeong Yun did not understand why he had done that, as if Beomjin were going to hurt her. But he simply approached the place where the medications were and took some aspirins and left without saying a word. Sung-un commented to Junyeong Yun that he still feels uncomfortable under Beomjin's gaze, but she knew perfectly well that not only he felt that way, but the whole school. He wanted to accompany her home, but she refused and told him he doesn't have to worry about her, and without saying anything else, she left, because she doesn't want anyone to find out what kind of home she comes from. A bit later, she arrived at her little house, and seeing that the door was still locked, she realized that Beomjin had not arrived yet. She was literally very exhausted, but despite being sick, she wanted to keep studying for the exams because they were already just around the corner, and she wanted to be the top graduate of the school. But in her head, she could only think about lying down to sleep for a bit, and she knew that on the second floor was the perfect place to sleep. And in the end, she decided to take a small rest to be able to recover her strength. And that was how she fell deeply asleep in her sleepy cat's bed and hoped that this cat wouldn't get mad when he sees her there. Although she wondered why he appeared right at that moment in the infirmary. And she already imagined him appearing through that door to scold her for occupying his bed. But she also worried that he wouldn't appear. And she didn't even have a flashlight with which to return home. But as if she had summoned the devil, he appeared. Junyeong Yun, seeing him, was so scared that she was about to give him a punch in the stomach, but he stopped her. However, this girl, without giving him time for anything, started hitting him for having thrown himself on top of her like a spoiled cat. Although he really didn't know she was there, he thought someone had entered the house and acted that way. Does she have no idea what time it is? She, the truth is, hadn't even noticed that, and he commented to her that it was already 2 a.m. Besides, she fell asleep without locking the door. That's why he told her it's time for her to go home. Junyeong Yun told him that the one who should leave is him, but Beomjin didn't want to talk about that topic. Yun was already annoyed by how he was behaving, and apart from the headache she had, she couldn't stand scoldings from this cat, and suddenly he told her she can use the bed as much as she wishes, and that later he will accompany her to her house. But she no longer wanted to receive help from him because a short while ago he had almost suffocated her, although in reality he confessed that he had been worried about her. He asked her if the nurse had given her any medication, and she told him no. And the worst part is that she had a bit of a fever. So she went down the stairs. She saw the medicines he had taken from the infirmary. She asked him if he feels sick, and he, as a joke, told her yes, that he has menstrual cramps. This made Jung-un die of laughter, and she told him that if she had a close friend, she would run right now to tell them what he had said to her. And he, to change the subject, told her that her parents must be worried about her because it is very late. But Un knew that the best thing was to stay there and not return home. But obviously this cat was not going to yield his place to her, so he decided to accompany her to her house. Since if she stays there alone, someone might arrive and scare her, or perhaps the owner of the house might arrive. Jung-un told him that if he is so worried, why doesn't he stay there? And this cat, just by imagining sleeping with her, blushed. But she commented to him that this house is the only place where she can be at peace. Although she was surprised because she had never told anyone something like that, although she felt that perhaps he and she have a similar life. But in the end, the poor cat ended up going to sleep at the desk while Jung-un slept in the bed. Being there, she felt peaceful. She had an inner peace that she had never been able to notice before. She felt safe because she knew that Beomjin was there with her. She could even perceive his soft, fresh scent on that bed, and she liked it so much that she felt happy. The next morning, she woke up. The fever was already gone, and she was in perfect condition. Beomjin, as always, was preparing breakfast, and since every day it was ramen, she was curious to know if his family had a noodle factory because every day it was the same food, but he ignored her. A short while later, she went down to have breakfast, and he told her she must take a shower. After eating, she decided to go wash up, and she saw a small towel and asked him if it was his. Beomjin commented to her that yes, and she took it because now she needs it, but he acted as if he ignored everything she did. But in reality, he was paying attention to each of the things Jung-un did and was very careful with everything he did for her. But since it was already time for his nap, he decided to go to sleep, but not in the bed, but in the chair. Minutes later, upon arriving at school, Chae-soo was again with her friends bothering her. These envious girls told her they didn't expect her to use such a childish tactic to attract Sun-un's attention. But Jung-yoon made it clear to those gossips that she doesn't want that guy's attention or anyone else's. Chae-soo told her that if perhaps she is in love with him, since she always looks at him, and that's why she had used those tactics. But Jung-un didn't even feel attraction for Sung-un. And if she looked at him, it was because he is different from her, a rich and popular boy, someone different from Beomjin. Suddenly, this crazy girl approached and told her that it is not her fault that her mom is like that, but she shouldn't worry because she will keep her mouth shut most of the time. Jung-yoon didn't know what this girl was referring to, or what she knows about her mother, and suddenly Sung-un appeared, who was worried about Han, but she made it clear to him not to get into her business and to worry instead about his own. This obviously annoyed him, but Jung-un didn't want to be near him because he would only get her into trouble. After leaving, she found herself in front of Beomjin, but she didn't utter a word and passed right by. Already in class, she sat down. She thought about what she said to Chae-soo. She wondered what she knew about her mother, for she remembered that her mother is not someone ordinary. She knows that her mother was deeply overwhelmed and that she only attacked her to endure her pain, since from a very young age she had never been able to have a conversation with others. She didn't even know what her mother was thinking. There was a time in which Jung-un worried about her mother when she went out to work sick, but that worry dissolved when it was her turn to clean up her mother's messes when she arrived drunk and after giving her a great beating. Un knew that although her situation was very sad, not everyone who was poor lived like her. However, her mother later, to compensate a bit for everything wrong she was doing, would leave money in a corner for her daughter, and since she needed it for school, she took it to use it for her studies. From that moment on, the money her mother left her became her allowance. Anna never dared to ask her where that money came from because she thought that at least with that, she would be compensating a bit for having brought her into this world to suffer. But now, with what she had been told, Chae-soo made her feel uneasy. She needed to know what kind of work her mother had. Suddenly, in how distracted she was, the teacher reprimanded her because she wasn't even paying attention to the class. This teacher was a math teacher, but he was no saint. He was a pervert who always bothered the girls, but since she had not accepted his insinuations, now he treated her badly. But during that, while this teacher was punishing Han, Sung-un told the teacher that his classmate was like that because of him, because he had hit her with a ball yesterday. To this foolish teacher, he said that if perhaps she is lovesick. But suddenly, the cat Beomjin, tired of listening to that lunatic, threw a ball at the blackboard, and because of that, the three ended up receiving a punishment. After that, Chae-soo told Sung-un that he should have stayed quiet so as not to be punished, but he told her that in part it had been his fault that Jung-un is like that, although at the same time he remembered her words, which openly rejected him. But Sung-un didn't understand why, despite that rejection, he keeps thinking about her. But anyway, the punishment for these three was to write an apology letter, but Beomjin didn't do it. And although she knew the teacher is someone very aggressive, she knew he couldn't hurt Beomjin either because he is someone feared in the school. Suddenly, Yoon heard rumors about her and Beomjin and knew it was normal that they would begin to suspect. But she liked that. No one found out that they have a secret friendship, so she decided to go after him and ask him to hand over the apology letter before leaving, because she knew perfectly well that if he doesn't do it, the teacher is going to punish him. Seeing this closeness, everyone in the class began to murmur, and Beomjin, who didn't want scandals, ignored her, and when she was going to take his hand, he rejected her openly. This scene obviously was amusing to the malicious Chae-soo, but suddenly Sung-un also intervened to supposedly help Beomjin so he wouldn't be punished again, but he didn't care about the help of either of the two, and without telling them words he left. Left behind, Sung-un told Junyeong Yun that he hadn't been able to write his letter either, and that he didn't even know where to start. She, although she didn't like the idea much, ended up helping him and gave him an idea of how more or less the apology letter should be. And without telling him anything else, she left, and he asked her if perhaps he had done something that annoyed her. And Jung-eun hated the frankness this boy had, but she was also going to be sincere with him and told him that sometimes she encounters people with whom she doesn't feel comfortable, even without having done anything to her. And that happened with him. Ooh, that had to hurt. During that, Chae-soo and her curiosity asked her what relationship she had with Beomjin, and Jung-eun asked her if perhaps she was in love with her because she chases her at every turn. Obviously, this annoyed Chae-soo a lot, but Jung-eun paid her no mind and returned to classes to finish her letter. A bit later, she returned to her little house, hoping that Beomjin would be there and give her an explanation of why he had behaved that way at school. She felt different being with him, but at the same time, she tried to concentrate on her studies because the exams were already close to arriving. But during that, she remembered what Chae-soo had told her and believed that she is simply jealous, since she thinks that what she desires is to draw Sung-un's attention. But she doesn't even imagine that what she desires is to be far from that guy. Thus, she arrived at the little house and entered thinking that he should be inside sleeping. She entered silently and went up the stairs to try to surprise him. But the surprised one was her, because he, taking her by the neck, threw her onto the bed, and seeing who it was, he apologized, but it's just that she had entered as if she were a spy. She asked him to bring her water because he almost suffocated her, and he quickly, without turning on the light, went down the stairs. Jung-eun realized that Beomjin was very different outside of school, for he apologized and asked her not to play that kind of joke on him again. Without hesitation, she threw a punch to get back at him for what he had done to her, but rather, she ended up hurting her foot because apparently this sleepy cat's stomach was like a rock. Beomjin commented to her that if he was always there, it was because it was the only place where he could rest and escape from his nightmares. He asked her why she had arrived right at that moment, if she is supposed to study, although in reality she didn't know either why she had so much curiosity to go up to where he was. Jung-eun, after what occurred, decided to dedicate herself to her studies, and thus again at night Beomjin took her to her house. But this time the streetlights along where she walked were off, so it was very dangerous. And more so when Beomjin saw that in the darkness someone was on that path, and since he couldn't leave her alone, he decided to accompany her. But right upon approaching her house, Jung-eun saw that that woman was her mother. Jung-eun quickly approached her mother to take her home, but this woman, raising her hand, slapped her in front of Beomjin. Eun could not believe that he had witnessed this terrible scene. She felt bad because now he knows her weakness. And when her mother was about to slap her again, he stepped in, receiving the slap himself, and in turn, protected Junyeong Yun so that her mother would not hit her again. Junyeong Yun, getting up from the ground, stopped her mother and asked her if she was acting like this because she hadn't come home that night. She tried to make her mother stop hurting her like that, much less Beomjin. And in the end, already tired of everything, she ended up demanding that her mother stop acting as if she were a normal mother, since there is not a single day in which she doesn't beat her, so she shouldn't pretend to be worried. Telling her this, she left. Beomjin, who was left alone with Junyeong Yun's mother, looked at her and told her that he was a classmate, and that she shouldn't worry about anything because nothing is going to happen between them. He had simply accompanied her to study. And this woman didn't say a single word and simply left. The next morning, Junyeong Yun felt embarrassed around Beomjin because of what he had witnessed. She only wished that at that moment the earth would swallow her up. She felt so much shame that she couldn't even look him in the face, and since morning she had been avoiding him. But thus came the time to go home, and now she thought about how she would go to that little house because she didn't want to run into him face to face after what had happened. Passing by Beomjin's seat, she saw him asleep and heard how everyone murmured about him, saying that he was the son of a mobster because of the mark he had on his face. But Junyeong Yun couldn't clarify that this mark was because of her mother, so she headed to the teacher's lounge to hand in her apology letter, but she ran into a big surprise. There was Sing-un's mother, an elegant and wealthy woman. Yun decided to leave to return at another time, but the principal called her because he was going to introduce her to this woman since, being one of the best students in this place, she was the principal's pride. But in reality, this woman had already heard of Junyeong Yun from her son, Sung-un, who hadn't stopped talking about her. Sung-un's mother apologized to her, supposedly, for what her son had done to her by hitting her with the ball. But rather, this woman wanted to demonstrate the power she had, so she offered to build a gym at this school, since it was the school where her son studies, and also to put a stop to the math teacher for having punished her spoiled boy. Teacher Kim, who is a bully, at that moment seemed like a mouse in front of a cat. And so, a short while later, Seum-un arrived. Everyone left, leaving them alone, and Jung-en headed to the teacher's office to hand him her apology letter. But this teacher didn't even pay attention to her. Upon leaving the office, Sung-un's mother called her. This woman obviously wanted to meet the girl her son talks about so much, and for that, she invited her to come to her house for a dinner. She didn't want to go, but she knew she couldn't reject this woman in front of everyone. Sung-un apologized for his mother's behavior, but she made it clear to him that she cannot go to his house and to ask his mother for forgiveness on her behalf. But obviously, he also wanted her to go to his house and clarified to her that he will see her on Saturday and will wait for her in front of the church. And this time, he didn't want to take no for an answer either. After what happened, everyone at that school began to murmur more things about her. On the other hand, Chae-soo was furious because she didn't understand what she has that she doesn't have, since she had even been invited by Seum-un to his house. While this crazy girl was throwing her tantrums in class, Beomjin, who heard this, felt a bit uneasy, but suddenly upon seeing her pass, it was again as if they didn't even know each other, although in reality, he didn't stop looking at her. And this time he knew that something different was happening inside him because he couldn't tear his eyes away from her for a single second. And so he realized that she is someone special, someone who took away his pain and his loneliness, someone who takes him out of his boredom. To Beomjin, Junyeong Yun was now his only source of amusement. And although she doesn't know it, she is very popular since she is smart and stands out among everyone. He knew that she didn't have any friends because everyone who approaches her, she rejects them directly. He even knew that Sung-un has started to have an interest in her, and at first he was disappointed because he thought she was interested in him because he is like the famous prince from fairy tales. But as he realized that she maintained a cold attitude toward him, he felt relieved because, in short, he likes the relationship he now has with her because when they are close, he could be himself as if he were a normal student. He knew perfectly well that if she was avoiding him now, it was surely because of what happened with her mother. She must be embarrassed by what happened. But thus Saturday arrived. Yoon had to attend the dinner at Sung-un's house, but she didn't want to do it. However, she had no choice because either way, that woman hadn't even allowed her to refuse. She didn't understand why she had invited her, but if there was one thing she was sure of, it was that she had to arrive and try to leave that house as quickly as possible. A short while later, as was to be expected, Sing-un was outside the church, waiting for her to accompany her to his house. He commented to her that it was the first time he had a friend since he moved to that place. He asked her about her preferences, but she told him that she has none in particular. Obviously, the only thing she likes is spending time with Beomjin and enjoying ramen. At that, Sung-un asked her why his mother has invited her to their house, but he wasn't sure. Surely because she is excellent in her studies. However, Sung-un was dying to know if she is close to Beomjin, though he didn't dare to ask her, so he simply told her that it would have been a good idea to invite him too. But she told him that surely he wouldn't attend. This made it seem as if both were very close, and Sung-un had already realized that. And he told her that even though she and Jin are not seen together, they seem to be very close. She had never noticed that everyone could spot something strange between them. And although it was just a speculation, she knew she couldn't risk it because it was a matter of time before people discovered it. Sung-un, taking advantage of the opportunity that they were alone, told her about what she mentioned in the infirmary about the heater and the signs on the window, because it hadn't been him. And that was when Jung-un realized that it had been done by Beomjin, her Beomjin. A short while later, Yi arrived at Sung-un's house, and obviously, he had servants as if he truly were a prince. And this annoyed Jung-un much more. A short while later, Sung-un's mother appeared, welcoming her. They went straight to the dining table where many dishes were laid out so that Jung-un could choose what she likes most. But since she didn't know her own preferences either, she didn't know what to do. For Eun, this was the first time she enjoyed such an exquisite meal. And Sun-un's mother began to ask her about school, about her grades, and even what university she wishes to go to. But Jung-un still hadn't decided on that, since with her economic level, she couldn't give herself the luxury of paying for an expensive university. However, Jung-un was very uncomfortable with her, and much more when that woman asked her what her father does for a living, as he must be very proud that his daughter is so intelligent. This question took Jung-un by surprise, so much so that she spilled the glass of wine on her clothes. Seeing this, Sung-un's mother asked Mr. Kim to bring some clothes to give her. Jung-un followed him so she could change her clothes and thought that during her whole life, that had been the most difficult question she had ever been asked. She didn't even know how to answer. Upon arriving at the living room, they asked her to wait so they could take her clothes. A short while later, someone's mother appeared, handing her an outfit that according to her would look very good on her. Jung-un asked her if she didn't plan to step out so she could change, but this woman simply turned around and told her that apparently she had made a mistake because it seems her father is not with her and her mother is not in her right mind. This surprised Jung-un very much because it seemed this woman had investigated her thoroughly. Suddenly, upon putting on the shirt, Eun had realized that those were the same clothes worn by the servants of that mansion. In short, that woman was humiliating her again, so she decided to confront her, telling her that if she has something to say to her, to say it to her face. Thus, this woman asked her if she has any interest in her son, but Jung-un made it clear to her that she has no interest in her little son. The one who is interested in her is him. This woman, upon hearing this, raised her hand as if wanting to hit her, and obviously Jung-un felt a bit of fear because her mother always hits her. But this woman only laughed and told her that if she needs money, she could give it to her, even clothes or anything she needs, with the sole condition that she becomes a scholarship student of her foundation, since that would open many doors for her and she will be able to get ahead with it. But obviously, this also had its conditions because Jung-un must never forget the huge difference in status that there is between her and Sung-un. And the truth is that she had it very clear. And although this was a very sweet offer, she couldn't take that as an escape route from the horrible life she had, because she knew that if she does it, she would be crossing a line from which there will be no return, because accepting this woman's help was like locking herself in a cage by her own choice and never coming out again. So in the end, without hesitation, she decided to leave immediately. Meanwhile, Beomjin was a bit worried about Junyeong Yun because, apart from the fact that it was raining, he didn't know if Yeon Dae had eaten well. He imagined Sung-eun and her happy, enjoying themselves in his so luxurious house. He thought about why he had those feelings of jealousy and decided to do a bit of exercise to keep his mind occupied. But his mind wouldn't stop thinking about Junyeong Yun, so he decided to go out for a little run. But just upon opening the door, he saw Junyeong Yun all soaked and in a servant's blouse. He was very surprised, but instead, she simply told him why he was without a shirt. Is he perhaps a pervert? Junyeong Yun went straight to the second floor and lay down on the bed. She felt so annoyed and humiliated by what had occurred. Frustrated, Jin let her vent her anger, and when she was calmer, he asked her where she had gotten those clothes. She told him that they gave them to her at someone's house when she spilled juice on her clothes, but that everyone in that house was only trying to make fun of her. But he wanted to know why she doesn't take off that shirt. But she clarified to him that if she does that, she would be naked. But again, the sleepy cat gave her his shirt to put on because hers was likewise soaked from the rain and she could catch a cold. And Beomjin, as if it were nothing, tore that other shirt apart. Junyeong Yun was annoyed because she had planned to fix that shirt to use it at school, but thanks to his outburst, now she won't be able to. And in turn, she asked him to put on a shirt because if not, he would be the one with a cold. But he didn't say a word, but rather went up to the second floor and sat next to her. Junyeong Yun tried to cover him with a blanket so that at least he would have his body covered, besides the fact that she didn't want him to catch a cold because of her. A few minutes passed, and both remained in silence. Beomjin didn't know what to say to her, whether to talk to her about her mother or not, but in the end, both ended up telling each other their stories. He commented to her that his father was a gangster who had passed away a few years ago, though in reality this poor cat's life had been not at all easy, because since his father had passed away, everything was like a war zone for him. Obviously, he wasn't going to tell her in detail what occurred in his life, but it seemed to him that it could be a bit liberating if he told her part of his story, because his life had been too terrible. And realizing the expression on his face, she told him that at least his father was already gone and couldn't hurt him anymore, unless he is afraid of a dead man, since the only ones to fear are the living. Beomjin, so as not to talk anymore, decided to leave to cook the ramen while she studied. Junyeong, who hadn't brought her books to study, decided to go down with him. But suddenly their gazes crossed and he, on an impulse, caressed her face, telling her that he will give her a towel to dry her head because she could catch a cold. But this made Junyeong Yun blush very much, because something within her being was about to burst. The next morning at school, Yun found herself confused because at school, Beomjin was one person, but when they were alone, he overflowed with kindness toward her. This confused her so much because he was always mindful of what happens to her. If she got sick, he was there, worried, taking care of her. But Junyeong Yun knew that it was not the time to get into a romantic mode, and suddenly someone pulled her out of her thoughts. Sung-eun, who approached her to ask her why she had left his house so quickly. That day, he asked her if she was okay, if she hadn't caught a cold, but she told him that she is perfectly fine. Junyeong Yun thought that this boy doesn't even notice that every time he approaches her, Chae-soo looks at her furiously, and suddenly, Sung-eun handed her a bag with the clothes she had left at his house. He apologized if his mother had done something bad to her, and Junyeong Yun knew that he was a pampered child who didn't even know about his mother's true intentions. And suddenly, the teacher already arrived to classes. This time, they had to choose a research topic, which they had to carry out in pairs. Everyone had already formed their group, and only Jum-eun was alone, as always. Although suddenly she noticed that Beomjin didn't have a partner either, so she saw a perfect opportunity to be able to approach him without anyone suspecting that they lived together, because it wouldn't seem strange to them that they walked together knowing that they are a work pair. But suddenly Sung-eun approached, asking her for them both to do the project, but she refused. Sung-eun asked her if perhaps she already has someone to do it with, and she felt uncomfortable because this boy was just like his mother, intimidating, and seemed to know everything about her, and that is why she didn't know what to answer. Junyeong Yun didn't know what to do until during that, Chae-soo appeared, asking her to do the work together. For Although it was something absurd, she knew she couldn't complain because this girl could tell what she knows about her mother, so she obligatorily had to accept the proposal. Sung-un, walking away, told her that she really has strange taste for making friends. But Jung-un didn't know what he was referring to. But suddenly, she saw that Beomjin kept sleeping in his seat as if nothing mattered to him. Un had cited Chae-soo to speak in private with her because it was time to clarify the situation. Chae-soo threatened her with telling the whole truth to their classmates. But Jung-un was determined to have this woman tell her once and for all what it is that she knows. Chae-soo, annoyed, asked her why Sun-un's mother had invited her to the house. Jung-un only limited herself to telling her that that lady wanted to meet the best student in the school, and that if just because of that, she thinks she can intimidate her, she was very mistaken. But suddenly, Chae-soo told her that she knows the reason why she feels so embarrassed of her mother. Un didn't want to pay attention to her, but this wicked girl told her that her mother always hangs around the motel alley in broad daylight, and this left Jung-un in shock. This crazy girl tried to humiliate her again and make her believe that Sun-un had noticed her only because he is gentle. But the only thing Jung-un was interested in knowing was who had told her that her mother was walking around that alley. Chae-soo did not hesitate to tell her that her father had seen her, since every morning he passes by close to there. Un was astonished because she thought her mother was doing inappropriate things, although in her head she couldn't imagine her mother being someone who does that type of thing. She tried to calm down so as not to let herself be carried away by the comments of this little woman, but this foolish girl told her that knowing her situation, it would be good to inform the school so that they take measures, since no one would like their children to be near a girl who has a mother like that. Jung-un, although she said nothing to her, was annoyed, so she told her that if her father knows about her mother's whereabouts, it must be for a reason. Does he perhaps frequent that place? For there is not only a motel, but some bars. In short, she told Chae-soo that perhaps her father, from hanging around those places, can infect someone with some disease, and this annoyed Chae-soo very much, who, without hesitation, gave Jung-un a slap. So much was her anger that she ended up telling her that it was her mother who was selling herself for money. And between the two of them, a fight began. Just at that moment, some guys appeared who obviously were much bigger than them and had wicked faces and had a reputation for being problematic. One of them approached Jung-un, which obviously they didn't like. At this, Chae-soo was very afraid and took refuge behind Jung-un's back, while she didn't know what to do because she knew perfectly well that there, in that place, no one would hear them. But for their luck, Beomjin appeared, and though Jung-un became a bit uncomfortable, deep down she was happy that he had appeared. These guys, who knew Beomjin very well, wanted to start a fight with him, but in the end, Beomjin didn't even pay attention to them and rather headed to Chae-soo. He told her that he needs to speak with her at that instant. Chae-soo was uncomfortable, but in the end she decided to go with Beomjin, leaving poor Jung-un with all that bunch of guys. Obviously, these guys assumed that Beomjin is in love with that girl, but they took advantage by approaching Jung-un now and asked her to explain to them what was happening between those two. She simply began to speak about English, math, cases of social inequality, among other things more, which left them half crazy. And at the same time, without saying another word, she left, leaving them all in an mode, feeling like asking her for them to study together. Un was already coming down from the rooftop, and Beomjin, who had nothing to speak about with Chae-soo, decided to leave. But Chae-soo stopped him because she wanted to know what it was that he had to ask her. Beomjin, who hadn't even noticed that, told her that he only wanted to know where she had bought the hairpin she has in her hair, and before she could answer him, he left without even paying attention to her. This annoyed Chae-soo a bit, but at the same time it made her blush and think that perhaps he had called her because in reality she likes him. And since she had also already seen him up close as a hottie, she immediately got enthusiastic about him, thinking that he was interested in her. A bit later, Jung-un was already heading to her house. A bit annoyed by Beomjin's reaction a moment ago, though in reality she was annoyed because he took Chae-soo and not her. But she knew perfectly well that perhaps he likes that girl, because even if she doesn't like to accept it, she was pretty. In short, Jung-un was beginning to have little jealousies, and she remembered that girl's words. That's why it gave her more anger, because she couldn't believe that her mother is doing improper things, though she didn't rule out the possibility either that everything Chae-soo had said was false. She remembered that the night she was beaten by her mother in front of Beomjin, her reaction was like that of a worried mom, and that perhaps it was because she saw her next to him. Besides, she remembered that she had always judged her father for having gotten her pregnant when she was very young, but now he is no longer here because he had passed away in a traffic accident, and as a result of that, her mother had gone crazy, and perhaps finding her with Beomjin made her misinterpret everything. Eun felt annoyed because Chae-soo had planted doubts in her, and within a few seconds Jin appeared, who without saying a word to her, headed to prepare ramen again. He asked Jung-eun how many eggs she wanted, and Jung-eun, who was irritated, told him that she is not going to eat even one, nor the ramen. Beomjin already realized that she was in a bad mood and asked her if she wants to vent her frustration on him, for it is very possible that her fury is related to what occurred on the rooftop. Jung-eun told him that since he had brought up that topic, he should tell her why he had spoken with that girl. This drew a little smile from Beomjin because obviously this guy already realized that she is a little jealous, and as a mockery, he told her if perhaps she is interrogating him like an unfaithful husband. Jung-eun, all blushing, told him that their relationship was not one to be able to say things like that, and in the end, Beomjin commented to her that he cannot act as if the things that happened to her didn't matter to him, and that if he had gone to the rooftop, it was to dispel the rumors that were being said about them. Jung-eun commented to him that from the very moment in which he threw the basketball at her, people had already begun to connect them, but Beomjin warned her that being near him will bring her nothing good. She knew it is because of the rumors, but she didn't care. Although to him, the opinion of other people does matter. Jung-eun didn't understand why her closeness with him felt so good, and she wanted to be closer to him. So she asked him what would happen if one day he leaves and leaves her alone without being able to defend herself from those guys. Beomjin, very uneasy, asked her why she said that, if perhaps they had done something to her. Eun, a bit blushing, told him no, that they had simply called her pretty. And after telling him this, she went again to her desk, trying to calm down, because just Beomjin's closeness made her extremely uncomfortable. Already at night, Beomjin took her back home as always. Eun couldn't stop thinking that perhaps he thinks she has an unpleasant temperament, and that because of that, he had decided to change her for Chae-soo. And she thought that if he doesn't want to be with her because it could ruin his reputation, well, he is mistaken. She is already the talk of everyone, and her image is on the ground. Beomjin suddenly asked her if on the weekend she will again study at the little house, but this time she told him she won't go because she has some business to do downtown, exactly in the motel alley. So great was Beomjin's impression that he almost fell, and she, smiling, told him what had happened. Did he perhaps slip? Obviously. But he asked her where it is that she plans to go and demanded that she repeat it to him. Hearing that she needs to go check something at a motel, his look obviously was not the same, but with a touch of coldness. Jung-eun, calm down. Obviously, what Jung-eun wanted was to check if what Chae-soo said was actually true, and the only way to do it is by going to that place. Though she knew perfectly well that those places are dangerous, and it gives her a bit of fear to go alone, but there was no one she could trust to accompany them. And although she felt embarrassed since that day in which he witnessed a blow her mother had given her, at the same time she feels relieved, and today she felt like telling him to accompany her, but she didn't want to be so clingy either. Although to her surprise, he was the one who took the first step, asking her at what time she will go to that place. Eun realized that he was always mindful of the things she told him, so she commented to him that she will go around 11 and that if he accompanies her, she will buy him some hamburgers. He already told her that he didn't do it for that, but suddenly he realized that he had his hand holding hers and quickly let it go. For both, this situation became a little bit uncomfortable. The next morning, Eun already searched among her things for something decent to put on, though she didn't know for whom she had to dress up so much. So she put on the first thing she found. She put her hair in a ponytail and left the house because Beomjin is already waiting for her. He was dressed like a total bad boy with a black shirt and a black cap. He was very concentrated looking at something, and suddenly a man appeared, and so that they wouldn't recognize Junyeong Yun, he took off his cap and put it on her. He headed toward the man, asking if he had waterproof sheets, and obviously this was to throw this man off. Thus, within a few seconds, both left. She asked him why he had given her his cap, and Beomjin reminded her that the place where they are going is dangerous. Besides, he didn't want her to be recognized, but the man from the store, seeing that strange attitude of theirs, watched them leave. Within a few seconds, they already arrived at the motel alley. They found themselves in a remote place, and Beomjin wanted to know what it was that she was trying to find out there. She commented to him that she wanted to see what her mother does for a living, but not even a soul in pain appeared around that place. He asked her if perhaps she thinks about waiting until she comes out, and Yoon responded, no, that she will go find out for herself. But obviously to him this seemed like a very bad idea because someone could recognize her and false rumors would be generated about her. Besides, these would ruin her life. However, she was curious. Does he say it from his own experience? Jin told her that although she is very smart, sometimes she is also very stupid. How mean! Suddenly, she also began to make fun of him, but in a matter of seconds, out of nowhere, he hugged her. This made her blush terribly because she didn't understand what had happened, though in reality he had covered her because precisely people had crossed by. Beomjin, seeing her blushing, told her not to think he did it because he wanted to hug her, but that he only wanted to protect her. Eun, who could no longer stand this uncomfortable situation, decided to go in search of her mother, and since he was not going to stay still, he told her that she should go along the left side and he along the right. Left alone, Junyeong Yun felt embarrassed because she was not used to this type of contact. It was the first time she was hugged so tightly. But suddenly, a voice caught her attention, and it was someone who was scolding a woman. She peeked to see who it was, and it was her mother who was being scolded by the owner of the motel, who treated her like a low-class employee. Junyeong Yun now realized the situation and wanted to grab this man and give him a good beating for treating her mother like that. From afar, she saw how her mother mopped the floors, and although she wanted to approach her, she couldn't do it because she would be discovered. And now she understood why her mother has that temperament, since someone like her couldn't even get a normal job. So she had to accept whatever they offered her to be able to earn a bit more money that way. Suddenly, while cleaning, her mother was about to fall and she wanted to go help her, but she thought better of it. A short while later, Beomjin appeared, and she was unwell. She told him that she had never expected anything from her mother, but she had already been used to being beaten by her, and that if what her mother is doing is for her, she shouldn't do it. In short, Junyeong Yun felt very bad because now she realized that her mother, from the frustration she felt, took it out on her. Junyeong Yun couldn't calm her tears, and so Jin hugged her tightly and told her that if she wants to vent, to do it. After she was already a bit calmer, Beomjin noticed the mark she had made on her hand, but that was not what hurt her most, but what she had seen. After seeing this situation, she and Jin decided to return home. He asked her if she would like a burger, but Eun didn't feel like eating out, so the only thing that occurred to her was to ask Beomjin for them to go on a picnic. Since it was Saturday and the weather was nice, it was the perfect occasion to be able to enjoy a fast food meal. She asked Beomjin how much money he has, and he asked her if perhaps she is going to extort him now, but she, just by looking at him, felt happy that he had accompanied her and that at such a hard moment, for him to be the one who was by her side was the best. Beomjin, without choice, handed her his wallet with money so she could buy the things. A moment ago, Junyeong Yun felt without a way out, and now her mind found itself clearer. She was happy because now it could be said that she had a friend, someone close to her, who made her feel comfortable, and that made her the luckiest person in the world. On the other hand, Sung-un was riding in a luxurious car next to his mother, who was busy with calls and business. And he wanted to know what had happened with young Eun. He asked his mother if the day she invited her to the house, she spoke with Junyeong Yun because she had left hurriedly from there. His mother asked him if perhaps she didn't tell him anything, but he clarified that they are not so close as to tell each other those things. His mother told him that she was a bit stubborn. Besides, it's not like he is going to marry her, right? Seung-eun hadn't even imagined that. He didn't even think about marrying someday, because every time he approaches her, the only thing he achieves is that the barrier between the two of them grows even more. But suddenly, looking through the window, he saw Eun with Beomjin and saw how he took her by the arm. Observing this, Seung-eun, without thinking about it, got out of the car and wanted to chase them. But since there were too many people, he got lost in the crowd. He was so frustrated at not having shouted her name. Meanwhile, Eun had bought everything necessary for the picnic, and they were already home. She set out to prepare the sandwiches, and since, according to Beomjin, he didn't know how to prepare anything else but ramen, she would be the one who would take charge of making them. But since he didn't want to stay with his arms crossed, and besides, told her that she was very slow, Jung-eun, so that this young cook wouldn't keep complaining, sent him to go place some newspapers outside the house, and he, like a total obedient boy, left. After already preparing their picnic spot, Jung-eun had already prepared the sandwiches and headed outside. She sat on the newspaper, and he observed her closely while she only thought that that is a good moment to capture a photo. And it didn't matter if it was only a moment. If she could be near him, it was enough. Seeing him standing, she invited him to sit, and thus both enjoyed a delicious sandwich that she loved. And although he didn't look at it with pleasure, after tasting it, it became very delicious to him, and he asked her how much jam she had put in it because it tasted very sweet, and that, according to him, he didn't like very much. Jung-eun told him, "Why didn't you tell me before?" But he commented to her that it's not that he hates it, but that she should ask him just in case. Maybe he was allergic, but she, enthusiastic, told him that he must try it, that he will see how he will love it. But thus, obviously, this pair of lovebirds were already having feelings for one another and enjoyed this wonderful afternoon. While in the alley, someone had brutally beaten a man. The next morning, Jung-eun was already preparing to go to school. She saw a bill in the closet and knew that that money obviously wouldn't be enough for her to go to university. And it was for that reason that she strived so much to be the best in the class, to be able to thus obtain a scholarship. She looked at her mother, lying down, and could only think about that scene she saw at the motel with her own eyes. While walking, she remembered the picnic afternoon with Beomjin, and it was so wonderful that she thought about repeating it again. Another weekend. Arriving at the classroom, as always, she found Beomjin sleeping, and she passed near him as if nothing. She sat in her seat and wondered why he doesn't at least greet her. Suddenly, the one who appeared by her side was Seung-eun. With the intention of speaking with her, he asked her to meet with him for a moment after classes. She didn't know what it is that this boy had to tell her, which, though it was annoying, she couldn't ignore it, but for now, she was going to concentrate on her studies. She heard that someone called Chae-soo, who handed him a paper where she had written to him about what he asked her last time, because according to her, she didn't dare to tell him in front of everyone. Hearing this, Eun felt jealous because how was it possible that now they feel close if never before had they spoken a word to each other? She became more annoyed when she saw Beomjin smile at the note and wondered since when those two were so close. This put her in a bad mood while Seung-eun observed her, just as Beomjin observed him. However, from one moment to another, the teacher asked Beomjin to step out for a second. The minutes passed and Eun was already worried because Beomjin was taking a long time to return to classes. She wondered if something had happened to him. And not only she had curiosity, suddenly someone entered, very scared, and commented to them that Beomjin was taken away by the police. After this was made known, everyone began to murmur about Beomjin and about his so-called fights, that perhaps that was why he had been detained. They said that due to this situation, he should be expelled, and that that would make them happy because he is someone very dark. But Jung-eun arrived and shut them up. So these fools began to tell her if perhaps she was in love with him. Eun didn't even deny it and told them yes, that she liked him. And this left everyone in a state of shock. And to top it all off, Seung-eun appeared to also shut them up and tell them to stop talking about Beomjin, although he wasn't doing it for him, but rather for Jung-eun. A short while later, when the teacher returned to class, everyone began to ask him what had occurred, but this teacher told them that he had simply been taken by the police. that there is nothing to worry about, that rather they should worry about the exams. Once class was over, Jung-eun left immediately to go to the police station to find out what had occurred. Sung-eun went after her and asked her where she was going. Eun didn't want to tell him anything, but he wanted to speak with her for a moment and she allowed it. But he must speak very fast. And while they were walking, she mentioned that the exam is close to being given and she has to study. Although this boy already knew that she was going to the police station, Yun, although she was surprised, asked him for what reason she would go to the police station. Sung-eun knew she was worried about Beomjin, and although she tried to divert the conversation, he told her that he had seen them together. Jung-eun didn't understand when he saw them. Or what did he know? Did he perhaps follow them? Jung-eun told him that he must be mistaken. But Sung-eun insisted that he had seen them, so she asked him where and when. Besides, that has nothing to do with him. Sung-eun didn't know what to say, and just then his chauffeur, Mr. Kim, appeared, who was there to take him home since he has to protect him because there had been an accident. They had stabbed someone near the school a few days ago, and apparently, the suspect for this is a student from this school. And clearly, Kim was referring to Beomjin. Jung-eun, who didn't want to be left with doubt, asked him who the suspect was, and Kim commented to her that his name is Beomjin. And Jung-eun, without hesitation, told them that he wouldn't be capable of doing something like that. With this, Sung-eun had it more than clear that the two of them are very close, and Sung-eun, before leaving, told her that he will investigate the situation a bit, but she didn't accept it and told him to forget everything because, either way, he will return soon. And obviously, he no longer wanted her to be near him because he knew that perhaps Beomjin is indeed involved in this. But Sung-eun, upon being left alone with Kim, asked him to investigate more about Beomjin. Kim obviously didn't want to do it, but since he is also his superior, he decided to accept. Hours later, when they already arrived home, he heard how altered his mother was. She, upon seeing him, commented to him that Kim will be the one to kick him up from now on at school for his safety. Later, at dinner, she asked him directly if he knew Beomjin and if perhaps Jung-eun also knew him, since she heard that the three of them had to write an apology letter. But before allowing him to respond, she made it clear to her son that although she likes Jung-eun's way of being, she doesn't consider her someone suitable for him. And then she added words that gave the impression that she feels pity for her. Sung-eun didn't like his mother's way of being and asked her not to speak that way about her because she is one of the best students. His mother told him that she is simply worried about him, and given this situation, she didn't plan to stay with her arms crossed. Sung-eun, already annoyed by so much interrogation from his mother, said that he hadn't spoken with Beomjin even once. But his mother told him that then, for what reason had he taken the trouble to call the police station to find out what had happened to him? Sung-eun realized that Kim had gossiped about everything to his mother, and this woman told him that once one wants to clear muddy water, one must make sure that the water that is clean does not get dirty. Sung-eun, without having tasted a bite, got up from the table. He left frustrated because he knew that he, being a millionaire, didn't even have the power to do something without his mother finding out, but he had obtained the information they requested. And what had occurred was precisely on Saturday. In an alley near a bar, someone had been beaten with a weapon, and currently, the person who was injured fell into a coma. Although right before falling into a coma, he had pointed to a tall and robust man as the culprit. After investigations they did in the surroundings, the man who had seen that day in Beomjin had given a statement and was considered a witness, since he had said that he saw Beomjin entering the motel alley. And by the description given by the person involved, the police pointed directly to Beomjin, and that is why they had arrested him as the main suspect in the attack. On the other hand, at the police station, the police officers saw Beomjin, and although he was just as they had described him, they thought that in the end, perhaps they are mistaken, since he doesn't seem to be someone who could be capable of committing a crime. Although they did suspect because when they asked him what he had been doing Saturday night, he hadn't uttered a word. And from that moment on, he remained in silence without responding to any of the questions they had asked him. And it was for that reason that now everyone thought that he truly is the culprit of that attack. But they needed proof to be able to blame him, and they didn't have it. And to Beomjin's bad luck, the person attacked had been the brother of the police chief, and this man hates criminals. But the inspector felt that this boy was innocent, Sung-eun wondered why Beomjin didn't tell them that he was with Jung-eun that day. And since he had seen them clearly toward where they were heading, he knew that he is not the culprit. But he didn't understand the reasons why Beomjin was quiet. Perhaps it was because he didn't want anyone to find out he is with Jung-eun. Sung-eun didn't know what to do. He was confused since he, being a key witness, said nothing. But since he knew how powerful his mother is, he couldn't do anything. He also knew that as long as they don't have proof against Beomjin, they won't be able to do anything to him. And very soon, he will get out of jail. And if that doesn't happen, Jung-eun, who was close to him, will tell everything they had done on Saturday. Although there was also the possibility that she wouldn't go to the police station. And there he didn't know what would happen to Beomjin. The next day, Jung-eun, now calm, decided to go to the police station to find out about Jin. She remembered the offer that Sunlin had given her and that she had to reject because, just by looking at him, she realized that he had a gaze similar to his mother's, something that made her on alert. By this point, she no longer knew whom to trust and whom not to, so she had no choice but to try to find out on her own what had happened to Jin. And for that, she had a strategy. She arrived at the station asking about a supposed wallet that she had lost, and that she was there to report because there was something very important in that wallet. The inspector, who was in charge of the case, asked her for all the details and the description of said wallet so as to be able to look through the lost objects. The inspector took her inside, right where the cell was, where Beomjin is found, who upon seeing her was very surprised, just like her. He asked her to leave, and Jung-eun was annoyed because how? He wanted to push her away from there without even knowing what she had suffered from, not knowing anything about him. The inspector told her that there was no wallet with those descriptions, but he asked her if she knows Beomjin. Eun became nervous because she had lowered her guard, and although she desired to seek information, she knew she couldn't be so obvious. So she told him that she didn't know him, that they were only in the same class, and that he wasn't someone dangerous. The inspector asked her if on Saturday she was downtown with Beomjin. Eun became more tense and didn't understand how he found out about that and why he was asking her. Obviously, she knew that that day she was together with Beomjin, enjoying a picnic afternoon, and she wondered why he hadn't said anything. She was about to tell everything, but Beomjin, shouting, told the inspector not to listen to her, that she is a stalker and that she doesn't leave him alone. He was already sick of her following him. He shouted to them that he had gone to the motel, but he hadn't beaten anyone. The guards were very astonished because he had been quiet all that time, but out of nowhere he was talking. The inspector asked him what he was doing at that motel, and for him, the answer was so obvious. Beomjin, so long as she didn't open her mouth, behaved like a crazy person. The inspector wanted to continue interrogating Jung-eun, but she told him that if she was there, it was simply to find her wallet. But even so, the inspector gave her his contact number, in case at some moment she remembers something she can call him immediately. When she left, the inspector realized that the description they gave him of her at the hardware store was the same. So by the looks of it, she was with Beomjin at the time of the accident. And if they were at a motel, that meant that he is innocent, and that if he was doing all this, it is to protect that young lady's reputation. But he wondered how they received a pair of young people who were still minors at that place. The next day at school, Jung-eun was furious because the fool Beomjin hadn't told them that they were together in the motel alley. Perhaps that way he would have avoided all that misunderstanding. Although she also knew that upon finding out about this, rumors will spread about them and the scenario will become quite heavy, because to their bad luck, both catch everyone's attention unintentionally, and it was the juiciest material for gossip. In short, she realized that Beomjin is only trying to protect her from people's mockery, because even her university admission could be affected if false rumors get spread, and much more if they discover that they live together. If that were the case, she could never again enter the same house, nor cook together, nor be able to come down from the mountain together, because if they see them together, surely they will begin to point at her. But she was also worried that they wouldn't catch the true culprit, and Beomjin would be unjustly accused because of her. Suddenly, the undesirable Sung-eun appeared. He really annoys me already, that boy. Sung-eun arrived to calm her down, telling her that very soon Beomjin will be released. But she at that moment only had a mind to think about Beomjin. She asked Sung-eun how he is different from Beomjin. Sung-eun, gathering courage, confessed to her that he likes her, that he wants to be close to her, help her in her difficulties, and that she lean on him? Jung-un showed no emotion, obviously because she doesn't like him. And besides, she had already realized that from the beginning this boy was interested in her, so in the coldest way possible. She told him that there is nothing he can do for her, besides the fact that she didn't want to see herself involved with this boy's mom, who was always the one who did everything for that little prince. Jung-un, without saying anything else to him, left, and Sung-un told her what would happen to her relationship with Beomjin if he is transferred to a juvenile center. Un simply smiled and told him that will never happen, because she wasn't going to allow it. Because her goal is to prove Beomjin's innocence no matter what, without caring if her reputation is affected. 5 days had already passed since they detained Beomjin. At first, he thought he could get out in a very short time, because they could catch the real culprit, since obviously he is innocent. But when he received a visit from the police chief, he knew that everything was getting out of control. It wasn't normal for them to keep him locked up for more days, but he was calm because after what he did in front of Un, surely she would understand what he wanted to say to her. And that calmed him a bit. Although in reality, he didn't want her to see herself wrapped up in unnecessary rumors. Because once those rumors grow, life is ruined. Because regardless of whether it be truth or a lie, to those people the only thing that matters to them is criticisms, inventing stories in order to make people look bad. And this is what would happen to Jung-un if they find out where she was. They would see her as a girl with a double life, since the ones they always attack and point at most are women. Although he also knew that very soon they will set him free, because there was no proof against him. Although he also thought that his father also went through the same thing and thought he would be released, but that time he couldn't return home. He could only hope that his end wouldn't be the same as his father's. At that, the inspector came to see him and told him that the culprit had already been captured, so he is free. The inspector, before sending him home, made him sign his release document, and with a mischievous smile, told him that he and the girl look very good together, but that next time he should be careful not to find themselves in very peculiar places. And giving him some small pats, he told him that despite the fact that he is a stubborn boy, deep down, he is someone very romantic. Thus, he asked him to take care of his girlfriend and sent him off. Beomjin first asked him if perhaps he met with her, and that inspector, since he kept secrets very well so as not to be scolded, told him that that is something the two of them must fix in private, and to stay calm. He will keep his secret very well. And without stopping him, he pushed him to leave quickly before he keeps asking more. Beomjin was left pensive because he didn't know what it was that Jung-un told the inspector. Thus, Beomjin went to his house to take a quick shower and put on clean clothes. He also took a bit of money that he had in the closet in a very large suitcase. Money that his uncle had left him before departing, promising to return to take him with him. He had left it in that house where his father carried out business, and that money had never decreased because he barely even used it. Suddenly, in that place, he pulled out a small hairpin that he had bought especially for Jung-un, although he also felt that perhaps she must be very annoyed with him. Suddenly, the caretakers of that house arrived, bowed to him, and entered while he went out. Upon arriving at the little house on the mountain, he entered and realized that Un had been there for some time. Because everything was clean, there was only a bag of food that had already gone bad. A short while later, Jung-un appeared, very tired from how much she ran. She was very surprised to see Beomjin at home. She expected a warm welcome, but it wasn't so. Rather, Jung-un, eyes full of tears, shouted to him that he is a fool, a stupid person, for not having said that he was with her that day and letting himself be locked up as if he were a vile criminal. Beomjin told her that the police had already captured the true culprit, but the only thing she would have liked is for him to tell the truth so that he wouldn't spend so many days locked up there, because it didn't matter what they would have spoken about her, because according to her, everything was her fault. And among tears, she asked him if he expected her to be grateful for having sacrificed himself for her, but she clarified to him she is not the type of person who bows twice. But poor Yun, from being so worried about him, hadn't even studied, and the exam was already in 3 days, and all because of his fault. Beomjin told her that there was nothing to worry about because she is the best student in the school. But for her, that is not enough, because from being worried about him, she hadn't even touched her books. Jin already asked her not to cry, although she told him that she wasn't crying, but rather she was simply furious. And this crazy boy wanted to laugh out loud, but he knew that if he does, they will give him a tremendous beating. Suddenly, this hottie was surprised with a tremendous hug full of tears. Jung-eun this time cried with so much feeling because in reality, she had worried a lot about him. Beomjin this time didn't reject the hug, but rather returned it, hugging her tightly to make her feel that he is with her. After several minutes, Jung-eun calmed down. Beomjin had even already cooked his famous ramen. Jung-eun felt happy because for the first time she was blissful to be able to eat again what he prepared for her. Precisely on that day, in classes, she had heard that Beomjin was released after she spoke with the inspector. That was why she ran to the tofu shop to buy a bit, and at full speed headed to the house, since she wanted to give the tofu to Beomjin so he could prepare his ramen. But when she saw him, she couldn't control her anger, because after all, he was the culprit of her sleepless nights. She looked at him, annoyed, and he asked her if she has something to say to him. To do it, not to keep her anger inside. And, approaching her, he asked her what she had said to the inspector. She told him that she told him the things that he hadn't told him. He didn't understand why she had done it, since she must take care of herself. Because despite everything, there was no proof against him, and they were going to release him. Now they had another problem. If the inspector speaks, she will be wrapped up in rumors. But Jung-eun told him that she doesn't care if they talk about her, because the dirt that fell on her had always been there. Beomjin, as a joke, told her who would think that Jung-eun, the best student in the school, was worried about someone like him. She should thank him appropriately. And so suddenly, out of nowhere, he asked her if perhaps she likes him. This question caught Jung-eun by surprise. She blushed a lot, and getting up from her desk, she told him that it must be she who was liked by him. That's why he had stayed quiet, because he didn't want to affect her image. He responded that it is clear what he feels, and that now he wanted to know if she felt the same for him. In short, he was confessing his love for her. Jung-eun was blushing and asked him what he liked about her. Beomjin did not hesitate to tell her that every night he thinks about her, that he doesn't take her out of his mind for a single second, and that if that wasn't liking someone, then he must be crazy. Yoon knew that she could no longer keep hiding her feelings, and the silence said more than 1,000 words. So Beomjin caressed Jung-eun's cheek and told her that everything was clear now, but she must study a bit and he go to sleep like a good cat. Eun responded to him that she will give him an answer after she takes the exams for the university, if she gets first place. Beomjin told her to tell him who was the one getting second place, so he could bury them and she obtained the first without hesitation. But Jung-eun obviously didn't want to tell him anything, lest it be that he wants to return to the police station. But Beomjin was sure that she will obtain her first place, and only had to have a bit of confidence in herself, because there is no one who can surpass her. After hearing these words, she decided to study day and night. The day of the exams arrived, and everyone was extremely concentrated. Beomjin, who didn't find himself very concentrated, didn't know the time to escape from that place because he had been trapped there after his father's death. He hadn't even been able to study with peace, but this time something had changed, and he thought that perhaps it is due to Jung-eun, since every time he looks forward, he sees her back. He observes her carefully, how she concentrates on her studies. And now that she had confessed to him that she feels the same for him, he couldn't get her out of his mind. Though he was afraid because they could be together in a near future, and he didn't know what destiny will hold for them. After some long and horrific minutes, finally the exams concluded. Everyone left the classroom except Beomjin and Jung-eun. She quickly approached the chair and told him that she is hungry, that the exams had worked up her appetite. But Beomjin told her that she must leave first because the others were watching. But she mentioned that what she wants to eat is a sandwich. Though everything had already gone bad, they had to buy more. He accepted, but told her that she must leave first, so that no one sees them, since he had just come out a few days ago from the detention center, and if they see them together, they could tell lies. But she made it clear to him that she doesn't care about that. But seeing that he is very stubborn, she decided to leave furious. Though she wondered how they could be together if he doesn't even want them to be seen leaving school together. And this caught Beomjin's attention a lot, so when she was about to leave, he took her by the hand, stopping her. Jung-eun, feeling Beomjin's hand, became a bit nervous, and more so when he apologized. She, as a way of acceptance, told him that if he forgets the jam, she will never forgive him, and telling him this, she left. Beomjin was left pensive, more so because of what she told him that he doesn't even want to show himself in front of others with her. But it made Beomjin smile because obviously the idea of her being his girlfriend enchanted him, although he also realized that Sung-eun is interested in her. A bit later, Beomjin headed to buy some sweets for Jung-eun, and for that, he needed to have money. He headed to his house to look for a bit, but he took a big surprise because right there, a black car was parked. He quickly realized that it was not an ordinary car, and upon approaching, he saw his uncle, who approached him very worried, asking him if he was okay, besides the fact that he commented to him that they had to leave that place immediately. Beomjin didn't even ask why, for he already knew that something must be happening for his uncle to have decided to come look for him immediately. Beomjin didn't have many things to take, but he did have something that hurt him to leave behind. And it was Jung-eun. He asked his uncle how much time he has, because he wanted to go to a place first. But suddenly he realized that his uncle was injured, and that he couldn't waste time in leaving. Beomjin, although he didn't know what to do, couldn't cast aside his uncle, but he also knew that Eun was going to be waiting for him at the mountain house, even until it gets dark. He was afraid because surely she will be there in that place until night, and there will be no one to accompany her to her house. In the end, he got into the car without saying anything. Until suddenly, on the way, he saw Sung-eun. He asked his uncle to stop for a bit, and got down immediately to speak with Sung-eun. And although they had never spoken before, he hoped that Sung-eun would pass his message to Jung-eun, that he was very sorry to leave her alone. Telling him this, he left without a definite direction, only hoping someday to be able to see her again, although he wasn't sure what direction his life would take, and saying, someday the two of them will meet again. Although on one hand, he felt grateful because having found her returned the confidence he believed he had lost, though this time he was again left with nothing. He felt sad because he should have taken advantage of all those moments to be together with her. But it was already late, because now he was leaving, and to his bad luck, he couldn't even enjoy that so fleeting courtship he had with her. Goodbye, cowboy. Meanwhile, at the mountain house, Jung-eun waited patiently for him to arrive. Although it was already late and he didn't appear, she decided to take a small rest, hoping that when she opens her eyes, Beomjin will be by her side, so as to be able to prepare him a sandwich filled with a lot of jam. She fell asleep waiting for her beloved, a beloved who never arrived. The years passed. Jung-eun was already a fully grown woman. She had finished her studies and found herself returning from a business trip, for she already has a job. But although she was already a full adult, she kept having those dreams, remembering how she waited day and night for Beomjin. Currently, she already arrived at the airport, and Jung-eun received so many calls from her bosses that she was already tired because the only thing she wanted at that moment was to rest. Upon arriving at her apartment, Sing-eun was waiting for her, who behaved with her in a very tender and sweet way. He even helped her carry her suitcases to the bedroom. He had prepared a small dinner for her, but she was surprised because he is not supposed to be at her house, much less entering and leaving as if he were the owner. Sung-eun paid attention to her words and rather told her that she must be tired, and that the bad mood is perhaps because Martin was bothering her again. And of course it bothered her because Martin called her at every turn, but it also bothered her that he enters her house as if he lived there too. He offered her a glass of wine, but she rejected it. Sung-eun commented to her that his mother wants to eat with her tomorrow. Eun was not surprised because she knew perfectly well what class of woman Sung-eun's mother is. And since she felt so tired, she asked Sung-eun to go to his house and not to enter without letting her know, or she will have to change the password. Sung-eun, with a distressed face, told her that he has no other place to go because everyone around him tries to take advantage of him. She is his only friend with whom he can vent without any problem. Poor, ugly little thing. Eun, although it bothered her, knew that this guy is too foolish to get along with more people, and she felt that everything was ironic. She has no one to vent to, and he vents to her. In the end, she decided to accept speaking a moment with him, but not without first going to her bedroom to put on something more comfortable. The next morning, Eun met with Sung-eun's mother, who is the director of the place where she works. This woman had cited Jung-eun so that she would give her all the reports about what had occurred on the business trip, since the Hongmei company planned to invest in Asian infrastructure with the purpose of stimulating the economy. And since her brother was Hong, she wanted to stand out in business. Eun was going to give her a complete report about the business, but Sung-eun intervened, telling his mother to let her rest, since last night she had barely been able to sleep. His mother, surprised, asked Sung-eun if perhaps he had met with her yesterday. Sung-eun commented to her that he had seen her for a bit, that they even had a glass of wine. Jung-eun, upon hearing this, wanted to give a slap to this fool because he speaks without even measuring the consequences of his actions, especially because it harms her. His mother, a bit annoyed, told him if perhaps he went to see Jung-eun after being with Sarah. Sung-eun became a bit nervous, but his mother made it clear to him that he has to be careful with what he does, since she had been the one who arranged the date with Sarah, who is a quite demanding woman and who doesn't meet with just anyone. But she had accepted to meet him as soon as she saw him in photos, and having her is a great advantage for Hongmi. Besides, she told him that he must be grateful and strive as much as he can, since Eun had worked very hard to be able to make it so that Sarah meets with him. The words caught him by surprise, and he asked Eun if she agreed to this. His mother intervened, telling him that it was better that he try to do things right, that he not cause unnecessary problems. And Jung-eun added that Sarah is the best candidate to be his fiancée because they have similar tastes. Sung-eun, upon hearing this, became a bit sad because obviously the one he is in love with, or rather, obsessed with, is Jung-eun, and getting up from the table, he left. His appetite had been taken away. His mother asked her what was happening with him, because when he was studying abroad, he went out with girls and everything, but now he was behaving in a different way. And Jung-eun, who already knew the direction of this conversation, made it clear to this woman that she is keeping her distance, that she is only a friend to him. But that woman clarified to her that she doesn't believe her words, though if she wants to preserve what she has achieved until now, she must keep away from her son. Obviously, this woman blackmailed her because she had been the one who helped her. For Jung-eun had a big problem, and clearly now she felt grateful, since she had saved her mother's life, and besides, it was she who took charge of paying all the expenses and medications of the hospital where she was found. Already the next morning, her boss had a new mission for Jung-eun. This time, he was going to send her to Busan, to take charge of reviewing the place where the Busan factory was going to be relocated. He asked her to stay all the time that is necessary, until everything is finalized, for her boss is the leader of the risk management team, and was also under the direction of Hong. Eun knew that in that company there were two factions. The first was the faction of director Hong In-so, brother and rival of Hong Mei, and the faction of vice president Na Yuk-sik, the husband of Hong Mei and father of Sung-eun. Jung-eun, who is only a common employee, received a lot of attention on their part, since she is part of the scholarship foundation administered by Sung-eun's mother. But obviously this attention she also received because she was the friend of the head of the planning team. In this case, Sung-eun. Although in reality, what Sung-eun's mother tried to do is look good through the effort and work of Eun. And obviously Sung-eun, who is very clingy with her, gave cause for many to talk that perhaps she could become a member of the Hong Mei family. But they also knew that if Sung-eun marries Sarah, very soon the rumors will disappear, because she was sure that Sung-eun will fulfill his mother's whims. Suddenly, looking at the streets, she saw a man very similar to Beomjin. Without hesitation, she ran after him, but to her bad luck, it was not him. With embarrassment, she apologized, and she was left sorrowful because no matter how much she tried, she hadn't forgotten Beomjin. Hours later, Eun was in Busan, at the place where the factory will be relocated. She read the report that they had handed her about a worker who had fallen some 10 meters in height and who had suffered great injuries to his left arm and right leg, and that it had been completely amputated. It had been a grave accident, but she even knew that several similar accidents were occurring in that same place. So Eun decided to go review a bit up to where the workers were found. One of these received her and with an arrogant attitude told her to what is her visit due? If, perhaps, everything was because of the accident that had occurred. Jung-eun, looking at this man, realized that he must be a complete idiot, for upon seeing her, he mocked her, telling her that she is a very delicate young lady and that he will accompany her to answer any of her questions that she has. But Jung-eun told him that she wasn't there for him to answer questions, but only wanted to verify how the situation was. Suddenly, one of those men told her that those from the company should pay more attention to the safety of people, because the workers apparently are very worried because many accidents have been occurring. And while Eun faced that bunch of men, Beomjin, as if by work of destiny or of the script, needs of the script, was found in that same place taking a small nap as always. Suddenly, drops of rain began to fall. Eun was frustrated because she didn't think that right at that moment it was going to rain. The main bosses of that place left, supposedly to have a cup of hot chocolate to be able to endure the cold, leaving poor Junyeong there alone and wet. But she suddenly told them that she needs to speak with the construction supervisor to thus be able to see the needs that the workers have and be able to help them. But these arrogant men told her that she will only bring bad luck, that it is better that she leave, but Junyeong wasn't going to let herself be pushed around by these idiots. Thus, she told them that if she brings them bad luck, what could happen in that place? Perhaps more people will fall. In short, she challenged them, since if they don't want her to investigate, it means that everything is due to personal carelessness. And if it is so, she can do nothing. But if they confirm to her that it is related to safety measures, she can seek a solution. One of the workers was annoyed and told her that they never listened to their opinion, but Eun promised that she will speak with the company to be able to solve all the problems. Although by how they react, Junyeong had the feeling that she wasn't learning all the details about that place. So first, she had to do an investigation of the background of whoever got injured. That man who spoke most seemed to be the boss of that place. And for that man, a girl like her didn't seem like someone important, but Eun made it clear to him that she is the one who takes charge of passing the reports to her bosses in the company. This man asked the others where Kim is, although since they already knew him, surely he was around there sleeping again. Junyeong wanted to know who this so-called Mr. Kim is, so the man sent to look for him quickly. Within a short while, he already brought him before her, and Junyeong was left in complete shock because the person she had in front of her was nothing more and nothing less than Beomjin, her sleepy cat. After that highly surprising encounter, they just stood there staring at each other, unable to understand why destiny had put them face to face once again. Suddenly, all the workers were left mouth agape because Beomjin, taking off his shirt, handed it to her. This obviously left them confused, and at the same time, they teased him, asking if he really wants to impress her, saying he should rather take her inside so she doesn't keep getting wet. He, approaching her, told her if she doesn't realize that her clothes are wet and are becoming see-through, but that way he asked her to come inside to speak with her. Eun, although she was surprised, felt her heart beating rapidly once again. Although a long time had passed, the memories of back then returned to her mind as if it had been yesterday. But something had changed in him. Now, on his body, there was a scar on his back. A short while later, Beomjin gave her a towel to dry herself. But he pretended not to know her, though he also knew it was not the right place for them to talk about the past again. So she, like a total professional, continued taking her role as the person in charge of finding out about what was occurring at the site. Beomjin gave her to understand that, at that place, the workers are exploited, and that when some labor accident occurs, well, they don't care. It is for that reason that while the police investigate, the construction work doesn't move forward. Junyeong was barely paying attention to his words, but rather she was concentrated on the fact that she had him in front of her once again. Although already concentrating on the work, she asked him if he knew who was responsible for these problems. And despite the fact that she still had curiosity to know the reason why he had disappeared from her life from one night to the next, well, she preferred to concentrate on the work. Meanwhile, the workers, like total gossips, observed from outside. And since Beomjin no longer wanted to keep talking with Eun, he decided that it was already time to go move materials. Although his companions told him that he has never done any of that, he only spends his time sleeping, though he had helped them in reality, and thanks to him, half of those workers were still working. However, Eun stopped him with the excuse of knowing more about the accidents that were occurring, though in reality what she wanted is for him not to leave, not after having found him. And she was annoyed because he acted as if he didn't know her. She even thought that perhaps he had lost his memory, but since she knew it wasn't like that, she only asked if anyone knows some place where she can stay, since she needs to be here for a few days. But she stressed that by preference she wanted a place near him. Just like that, straight to the point. The workers, upon hearing this, got very excited. They began to make fun of Beomjin, and he showed no expression whatsoever. He only clarified to her that where he lives is not suitable for her. Besides, he would finish working in 6 hours approximately, although to Jung-eun, it didn't matter to wait. The only thing she wanted is for this one not to escape from her again. After a long time of reviewing the documents to see if she found some information about Beomjin, well, she found nothing about him. No indication of what had occurred with him and the reason why he had left so suddenly. Children of their mother. Doki, silence, damn it. Quiet down now, make silence. No indication of what had occurred with him and the reason why he had left so suddenly. She remembered that at school there were rumors that Beomjin had been dragged away by a gangster. And that could be true, although seeing him now, she didn't even know what to think. She had so many doubts and questions to ask him, but suddenly her thoughts were interrupted by a call from Sun-eun, who wanted to know where she is found and why she hadn't answered his calls. This fool only wanted to know everything about her. Eun told him that she was working, and that she won't return home for many days. Sung-eun wanted to find out where she was, even what hotel she is staying at, but obviously that annoyed her, and she didn't plan to tell him. Thus, she told him that she doesn't have a fixed place to stay yet. Sung-eun, upon hearing this, told her that he will reserve a hotel for her where she can sleep comfortably. But Eun rejected him, because she wanted to be the one who chooses where to stay. Suddenly, Jin entered the office and asked her if she is really going to leave with him. Eun was so surprised that she didn't even pay attention to Sung-eun, and without telling him anything, she hung up the cell phone. Minutes later, upon leaving the office, Beomjin was already waiting for her in his black car. She asked him for how much time he had been working at that place. Beomjin responded to her that more or less for over a month. She wanted to know what it was that he had done since he left, but he didn't respond. He told her that those questions have nothing to do with the work or the company, so Jung-eun had no choice but to change the subject. She commented to him that Choi Jun, the man who according to appearance was the leader of that place, had thrown her toward him. Beomjin told her that he is the president of the workers. They call him President Choi. He also commented to her that it would be better for her to stay at a hotel, since she will find herself much better there. And there were some just 10 minutes of distance away. Jung-eun commented to her that to her, a narrow place didn't matter because she had already lived in a very small house. Jung-eun felt as if her 18-year-old self were reappearing, and within a few minutes, they already arrived at Beomjin's house. There was a lady, the landlady, who was surprised to see him arrive with a girl. Yun introduced herself to her and told her that she was looking for a place to stay a couple of days. And this grandmother told her that that is not a place for someone like her, for it is old and dilapidated. But to Jung-eun, that didn't matter, and in the end, the grandmother gave her a room, although they only possessed one bathroom, and if there was no inconvenience, the room could be for her. Beomjin insisted on taking her to a hotel, but she refused, so she accepted staying there. Besides, before this lovebird vanishes again, she needed him to answer each of her questions, so she will take advantage of every opportunity that presents itself to her. Or, perhaps later she might regret it. Beomjin, or as he is known now, Kim, after Jung's stubbornness, accepted that she stay there, but only for one night, and that the next day she shall leave. The grandmother showed her the most decent room there was in that place, and the cleanest. To Jung-eun, who was used to this type of place, it seemed perfect. And she also asked for some direction to an area that is favorable to be able to buy some clothes. The grandmother told her that it was already very late for her to go out at these hours, so she told Kim to accompany her after eating. Eun didn't see the necessity for Beomjin to accompany her, but this grandmother, who was so curious, asked her if perhaps the shirt she is wearing isn't Mr. Kim's. It took her by surprise because she hadn't even realized that she was still wearing his shirt. The grandmother, seeing her uncomfortable, told her that she will go look for more comfortable clothes that she can use. And thus, she handed her some floral pants so she can change and then come down to eat. Beomjin observed what occurred between these two women, but acted as if he hadn't paid attention to them. Eun, despite everything, felt very good in that place. It was quiet, and besides, no one was going to bother her. Within a short while, Eun already came out of the room with her new clothes, and Beomjin already came out all cleaned up and handsome as always, with one of his many black shirts. Eun set out to take a shower, but the grandmother called her for dinner, so she had to postpone it. During dinner, she ate without saying a single word, until the grandmother broke the silence, asking Beomjin to take Jung-eun downtown, since probably she has many things to buy. Beomjin told her that already tomorrow she will leave to a hotel and will have all the necessary time to be able to buy what she needs. But Eun made it clear to him that she won't go anywhere because it was a very comfortable place. Beomjin asked her the reason why she desires so much to stay, and she, without stuttering, told him that it is because he is found there. The grandmother, who observed the situation, told Beomjin that that girl was quite direct, although to him it wasn't being direct, but being stubborn. In the end, Jin had to go out with her. Upon arriving downtown, Beomjin told her to go buy what she needs, and he will be waiting in front of the pharmacy. Eun departed to buy necessary clothes, and remembered that before she couldn't spend her money with peace, for due to the medical bills for her mother's hospital, her life expenses were always justified. In fact, the most expensive things she possessed were the ones Sun-eun gifted her. Although none of those gifts had she used, she always accumulated them in the storage room without touching them. That's why she decided to buy a couple of blouses, and already upon leaving the store, she saw Beomjin smile while speaking on the phone. In her head, right away she quickly plotted that perhaps he already has a girlfriend. And after those crazy thoughts, she crossed the street without realizing that a motorcycle was coming at full speed. Right before impacting her, it braked. Jung-eun was in shock, and suddenly Beomjin ran and hugged her. He was worried that something had happened to her. The one on the motorcycle asked him to stop making a scene. He hadn't even touched her. But Beomjin, just with the killer look he gave him, left the poor youth terrified. So he left, and Beomjin helped Eun cross the street, for her ankle had been injured. Besides, the pants that the grandmother had given her were torn, although what surprised her most was Beomjin's attitude. She thought that finally she could talk with him like before, but he got up and asked her to wait for him there, saying he will go for medications and bandages. Jung-eun told him if perhaps for him it was the most important thing before talking with her. But for him, the most important thing is that she be well. Eun knew perfectly well why Beomjin was so special to her. Because he was her first love, and if he hadn't disappeared, they would have shared many things together. After that, Jung-eun indeed had had some boyfriends, but those relationships never endured. Because from the beginning, she always believed that that was a waste of time. Besides, in her heart, only Beomjin existed. She felt as if something in her heart were stuck, but now finally she had found what was lacking in her life. At that, he already arrived with medications and bandages. And despite the fact that Jung-eun asked him many questions, Beomjin avoided them all. After that, she asked him to accompany her to buy something else. And while they walked, she wanted to know how she should call him. Mr. Kim? Beomjin told her that she shouldn't call him in any way because the two of them are not close. This hit Jung-eun's heart heavily because she had gotten her hopes up like a fool. She wasn't capable of comprehending the situation she was in. Beomjin asked her when she will leave, and this annoyed her, who shouting told him, "Have you perhaps forgotten about me?" She confessed to him that she couldn't contain her curiosity. She had searched for him everywhere, from the alleys to the police station. Even after hearing that he had left, she went each day to the police station to ask if there was news about him. And despite the fact that to no one in the neighborhood did it matter if he disappeared or not, she was the only one clinging to searching for him. Beomjin didn't react to any of her confessions and rather asked again when she will leave. Eun, disappointed, told him that she didn't have it decided yet and that already when she knows, she will tell him. But she made it very clear to him today that she won't go to any hotel because she needed him to answer each of her questions. To know why he became Kim, and the most important thing, why did he disappear from her life? And if he decides once again to disappear before her eyes, this time she will never forgive him. Although if in reality he decides to disappear now, it will mean that she doesn't matter to him at all. And in part, it will make her feel relieved because she will understand that he doesn't feel the same for her. The next morning, Jung-eun hadn't been able to close an eye the whole night. She had tremendous dark circles, for she had been thinking that perhaps Beomjin left again without saying anything to her. Jung-eun analyzed the whole situation between both to be able to find an answer or an indication of what had occurred, but in the end, she continued without answers. Upon leaving the room, the grandmother already waited for her and commented to her that she had heard about her accident. Eun commented to her that she was fine, but her pants were not, although to the grandmother that didn't matter. She had many just like that one. And while they chatted, suddenly Jin came out of the shower. The grandmother told her that it was good that Kim washes first, because then, after that, the hot water will finally come out. Later, Beomjin found himself at his work, very pensive, because precisely around that season was when he met Junyeong Yun. He never thought he would find her again, although deep down he had the small hope of someday seeing her again. But he didn't precisely expect to find her in that same place. He knew that she hadn't changed at all, that she continued being the same brave girl from before, but he also knew that if he approached her, it would only bring her problems, and that is what he wanted least. He remembered that his arrival at that place was by chance, since Junman Seo was his debtor. The president of the company one day had heard about the problems that were in the enterprise, and that was how Beomjin offered to go to that place. The debt that Jun had possessed surpassed 700 million won, and all because of the damn gambling. But after the accident that his wife and daughters had, he pulled himself together and was canceling his whole debt little by little. But then, he suffered an accident that eliminated his reimbursement capacity. And it was thus how his company had to devise a new plan to recover the money. Beomjin, who had decided to visit him one day at the hospital, heard how this man commented to his wife that he hadn't fallen on his own, that someone had pushed him. It was thus how Beomjin decided to infiltrate that place to investigate if one of his companions had been capable of provoking an accident. However, what he expected least was to find Eun, who would also appear to investigate that same accident. Suddenly, Mr. Choi appeared, asking Beomjin the reason why he doesn't answer his phone. Beomjin remembered Jung-eun's accident and realized that probably there he had lost his cell phone. Choi wanted to know if he knows Eun, but Beomjin told him that she seemed familiar to him, but he doesn't remember her. Choi commented to him about how romantic he had been with his wife, and Beomjin asked him if perhaps he insinuates that he should do that with Jung-eun. Choi commented to him that Mr. Park was never interested in the worker situation at all, but apparently this new girl was doing her work very well. Perhaps she could even support them. Choi asked Beomjin that way if it is that he could call her pretty, but Beomjin told him that they better call her beautiful. On the other hand, in the office, Eun reviewed all the documents to see if it was that they had put complaints about the accidents occurred. And yes, there were complaints, but they hadn't given a solution. Eun reviewed all the resumes of the workers, but she was missing one, and she asked the workers if perhaps there was some other document with more resumes, but they commented to her no, that Jung-eun noticed something strange. And it is that, if it is so, Beomjin perhaps is hiding himself, be it from the gangsters or from the police. Eun, once she reviewed all the papers, told them that she will go review the site quickly. Thus, she headed to the facilities, going up the stairs. Although her knee still hurt her, she reached the highest part where the accident had taken place. She knew perfectly well that the accident had taken place at 8:50 at night. She noticed that from that place, one could see the office, and it seemed strange to her, but it was time to meet Jun personally. While she was distracted, behind her back, Beomjin appeared, almost killing her of a heart attack from the scare. Eun already commented to him that she was waiting for him, and since they had arrived at work together, she thought they could return together too. Beomjin tried to ignore her, but it was impossible. Thus, she asked him if he was close to Choi or if he knows Jun. This made Beomjin approach her and ask her if perhaps she needs a man. This took her by surprise, more so when Beomjin told her that if that is the case, that she not become a bother to him. And when he was about to leave, she took him by the hand and told him clearly that if he wants her to leave, he should explain to her why he had disappeared without leaving a trace, that only that way she could leave at peace. Suddenly, she felt how her body vanished, and Beomjin, upon coming into contact with her, realized that she was with a fever. Jung-eun each time was more confused because she didn't know whether to trust his actions or his words, because he demonstrated worry, but at the same time he also pushed her away. Eun told him that never in her life had she felt frustrated, so helpless at not knowing the reason why he had disappeared, that in her time, she liked him and a lot, and that it had cost her so much that day to confess her love to him. It was for that reason that now she felt that he had the obligation to tell her the reason why he had left her. Suddenly, they were interrupted by Eun's cell phone, which began to ring. This annoyed her a lot because they had interrupted her at such an important moment, and it had to be that blessed Sung-eun. She explained to him that she works for the same company, that she had graduated thanks to the help of the foundation directed by Sung-eun's mother. She wanted to explain to him everything that had occurred after he disappeared, but Beomjin made it clear to her that it doesn't interest him to know anything, that she simply take the call, and that's it. Eun was annoyed with Sung-eun because he had interrupted her, but she had no choice but to answer. Sung-eun told her that he had found out that that business trip had already been assigned to another person, and that apparently her boss is only trying to finish that project through her as quickly as possible, so he would like to intervene to help her. Yoon didn't want to keep talking with this fool, so she told him to call her at another time, that now she was on a date. Besides, she asked him not to intervene in anything, for she didn't want to cause problems for him. Apart from that, strange rumors already exist about them. So she asked him as a favor not to interfere in her work, because she has a commitment with his mother, not with him. Eun knew that this was the only way to be able to push him away, since from long before, Sung-eun had approached her a lot, and on many occasions, he asked her about Beomjin. He wanted to know if she still continued interested in him. So what better way to rid herself of him than being with the love of her life? So Jung-eun devised a plan. She approached Beomjin and told him that he had asked if she needs a man. The truth is that yes, and she needs him to be her man. Beomjin was left speechless. But suddenly, Jung-eun's body felt so tired that she didn't endure anymore. On the other hand, Hong Mei was speaking on the phone, as always about business. She was worried because apparently Hong, her brother, was trying to replace the vice president of the company, that is, her husband. She knew perfectly well that now her position in that company was unstable, and that if everything goes wrong, she will be in problems. So she needed quickly to increase her shares in core areas without Hong finding out. And to achieve this, she was going to use Sung-eun. His union with Sarah was going to be of great help. So to manage to make the two of them get close, the magnificent idea occurred to her to invite Sarah's family to the inauguration of the gallery next week. Suddenly, Sung-eun appeared before his mother, but not somber, but rather with some drinks in him. His mother asked him if everything was fine or if something had occurred in the enterprise, but Sung-eun didn't respond to any of her questions. His mother, regardless of her son's emotions, asked him that. Apparently Sarah likes him a lot, so she asked him that on the weekend he take her to see the sea. Obviously, this woman wanted her son to match with Sarah, besides the fact that she was the perfect candidate for him. Even already, their marriage was finalized with the family. This angered Sung-eun a lot, who with all the rage, threw the bottle he had in his hand, telling his mother that he wants to live separate from her. And Hong Mei sensed that this situation perhaps has to do with Eun. So she asked Kim to find out what had occurred. Although she was sure that he is infatuated with Jung-eun, she trusts her because it doesn't correspond to her, since the life of her mother was at stake. Besides, Hong Mi had helped her to keep her close, and watched so that her son doesn't make the mistake of getting involved with her. Furthermore, even if Eun tried to cross the line between them, she possessed the influence to destroy her completely. Jung-eun, on the other hand, woke up in the hospital. Next to her was Beomjin. She had always wanted to have a photo of him, and seeing him like that, she thought it was the right moment. She took her cell phone and took a photo of him. He woke up, asking her what it was that she was doing, and she dissimulatingly told him that she was taking a selfie, but now she wanted to know what had occurred. How did she arrive at the hospital? Beomjin told her that she had fainted, and that he threw her from the 3rd floor toward the car. Then he took her to the hospital. Jung-eun wanted to know how much time she had to endure there in the hospital, and she still had an hour left, since the fever still didn't go down completely. Jung-eun wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to find out if Jun was in that hospital, but Beomjin, who was cautious, told her no. Eun commented to him that upon leaving the hospital, she will visit him because she has a good feeling that she will find some clue of what occurred. Beomjin told her if she received some bonus for working like that, since she was putting her life at risk. But to Eun, she comes first, or the life of her mother. However, this comment slipped out from her without even thinking about it, and she ended up telling him that everything she works for was only to keep her mother alive. For despite what she did to her, she told him that after he disappeared, her mother had collapsed. Surprisingly, there were 900 million won in an account she had created in her name. And it is for that reason that Eun knew that her mother was not the best in the world, but she saved every cent for her, and she couldn't leave her abandoned to her fate. So she had no choice but to accept the help of the person she hated most in that world. However, today Yun, after so much time, felt happy to be able to share these things with him. He approached her and asked her to rest, saying he won't go anywhere. Yun once again felt his warmth and hoped that he never walks away, because now that they had found each other again, she hoped that destiny doesn't separate them another time. From so much insisting to her, Jung-eun ended up falling asleep, and Beomjin took advantage of the opportunity to hold her phone, use her fingerprint, and open the photo gallery to delete the photo she had taken of him. Without hesitation, he eliminated it and left the hospital to call someone. And that someone, he called him brother. He asked him if he was fine where he was. Beomjin didn't give him explanations and simply asked him to track the location of his phone that he had lost. The person on the other side of the phone commented to him that he found himself in the city by orders of the president, and Beomjin asked him if he had mentioned his name. But obviously, he had been very careful in doing so. Beomjin asked him to bring his phone up to the emergency room of the hospital, but after that, since he was using Jung-eun's cell phone, he realized that there were several missed calls from Sung-eun. Within a short while, a man already appeared who was happy to see Beomjin. This guy is named Sang-woo and is Beomjin's bodyguard. Obviously, he doesn't like Sang-woo to be in the city because if Eun sees him, she will begin to suspect him. So he asked him to go to his grandmother's house and say that he is a cousin. He commented to him that in the house, there is also a woman who is the successor of Park, and that no matter what she asks him, he must never answer even a single one of her questions. Sang-woo, without hesitation, accepted the conditions of his brother, or rather of his boss, and Beomjin made it clear to him that if he does something to him that he shouldn't, right away he will return him to Seoul. Already, later, Eun returned to the grandmother's house. She encountered Sang-woo, and just as Beomjin had told him, Sang-woo presented himself as his cousin. Jung-eun, upon seeing him, bombarded him with questions, and Sang-woo, without enduring the desire to stay quiet, spilled the beans, asking how it is that she knows his brother. In the end, Sang-woo ended up talking with her, and upon seeing Beomjin, he felt very embarrassed because he hadn't fulfilled his word. Eun knew that something they were hiding from her. Already a bit later, Jung-eun at work began to take photos, supposedly of the construction and of things that could be important, although in reality she was with a photo session with Jin. On the other hand, she commented that Jun had refused to let her visit him, and that became very strange to her. Jung-eun saw that the only way to speak with that man was calling his guardian, and thus she did until she managed to finalize an appointment with June. Hours later, at the Busam hospital, Jun's wife chased her from that place, throwing water at her. Jung-eun, who didn't want to cause a fight, decided to leave with almost little or no information. On the other hand, the workers had a bit of fear and asked Beomjin if they have some type of debt, since the man who was standing next to his car looked like a thug. Beomjin knew that Sang-woo, although he had insisted for him to remain seated, he hadn't wanted to. And obviously seeing him beefy, they thought he was some mobster. Suddenly, among talk, they commented that at the Shinjin construction, someone also had suffered an accident and that he also found himself hospitalized, but that to him, they indeed had given a quick compensation. Thus, all at once, the cases began to increase in which workers had suffered accidents. Beomjin left that place without raising suspicions and called by phone so that someone takes charge of publishing in the newspapers about what was happening at the construction sites of that area, since it would be sufficient pressure for Han Jong. He also asked for a list of all the accidents from falls that have occurred suddenly in these last months. And furthermore, he wanted to verify the names of the victims with the list of debtors of his enterprise. All this he did because he knew that those accidents were not causal, but were provoked, and he wanted to know if any of them had some grudge kept. Beomjin, in response to Jung-eun's words, told her that his actions are like those of any person, but Jung-eun wanted to keep drinking. But since Beomjin didn't, well, amid threats, he ended up yielding to Jung-eun. Beomjin, to change the subject, commented to her that he had heard that her visit to the hospital was denied, but Jung-eun wasn't going to give up. Because with that visit, she was able to confirm that the chances of that man receiving compensation were not high, and that everything seems to be a simple safety accident. Beomjin was surprised and asked her if she had any proof of what she is saying. But Jung-eun told him that she plans to find out what is really happening with the workers, and for that, she was going to use Mr. Hun as a spy, to to find out what is going on, since she had found out that Hun had been the one who reported the safety equipment problem here. So the only reason why they would be doing those things is just for money. Beomjin knew that if Junyeong Yun kept investigating, she could be in danger, because they will try to get her out of the way. Beomjin looked at her with so much uncertainty that Junyeong Yun wondered why he looks at her like that. And he responded that it wasn't just one person who had had those accidents, but that there had been 4 in recent months, and that number is significant. Junyeong Yun didn't understand why June was so afraid, but Beomjin wanted to know if, of the last 4 people who had accidents, they all needed compensation, or if there really is an enemy who is pushing them. Junyeong Yun asked Beomjin why he was giving her all that information, and he told her that the company he is working for is the same one that Human owes, the JKB company, a financial company. And this left Junyeong Yun very surprised. Minutes later, Beomjin returned home with Junyeong Yun. He was very pensive because he shouldn't have approached her like before, because he would end up falling in love with her again, with her smile and everything. Besides, he had her on his mind at all times, even in the desserts that she liked so much. Being without her during all this time felt like a void in his heart, but he couldn't drag her into his hell. Because no matter where they were or where they hid, the traitors from his father's organization would pursue them without rest, and the life they would have to live would be one of fleeing from one place to another. And when finally the leader of the traitors died in an accident, well, Beomjin's life didn't improve either, although he created a company with his father's inheritance. But that company is growing. It has external interference and audits. So it was a dangerous world surrounding him. That was why Beomjin didn't want to get close to Junyeong Yun so as not to bring her into that nightmare world, since he knew perfectly well that he couldn't have the life of a normal person. And Junyeong Yun means something unattainable. And seeing her, how she keeps shining with that great intensity, he does not intend to dim that light. That was why he was determined that their lives should never cross again. Each one must live on their own. Within a few minutes, upon arriving home, Beomjin commented to her that when she has all the necessary information, she should go to the police to hand over all the evidence. And looking at her intently, he thanked her for having been there, because deep down he knew that if it weren't for her, and for all the time they spent together, he would never have been a different person. That was why he was happy to see her again. Although in reality his heart desired to tell her something else, Junyeong Yun, before getting out of the car, told him that she knows him more than he thinks, and that if he thinks things will end like this, no baby. That is not going to happen. And without hesitation, she threw herself on him, giving him a tremendous kiss that left him breathless. And it's just that he wants to leave her now. After giving him the little kiss, she made it clear that she is no longer the same as before, and that she won't let him go so easily. So if he really wanted to cut ties with her, he should have ignored her. Besides, she had already realized perfectly well that he always bathes first because he was worried that she wouldn't be able to bathe in hot water. And after telling him this, she got out of the car and entered her room. Beomjin remained in the car pensive because he thought it was best not to see each other in the future, as he doesn't want her to suffer. And at that, he received a call from Sang-woo, who informed him that he had gone out to buy things and noticed that a car was parked in the alley, and that there had been someone sitting in the driver's seat who has been there for several hours. Sang-woo gave him all the details about the car, and Beomjin, upon seeing the car, realized the license plates it had. He was curious to know who it was. He got out of the car and approached the other one. He knocked on the window for him to open it to find out who it was, but he received no response until suddenly they got out of the car, and to his surprise, it was the toxic Sung Eun himself. Beomjin remembered that Junyeong Yun mentioned to him that they were co-workers. He asked him if the reason for his visit was because of Junyeong Yun, but Sung Eun told him that he had business to attend to in a very nearby place. Sung Eun, with a hypocritical smile, told him that she must be very happy to see him again and that she hasn't told him anything. Surely she is quite busy to tell him that she ran into him. Beomjin, to ignore this crazy guy, was about to leave, but Sung Eun stopped him, asking him since when he is with Junyeong Yun again. Beomjin made it clear to him that he should ask her that. Sung Eun, making himself look important, told him that he had fought with her because he had met a girl. And with how proud Junyeong Yun is of him, this fool was stirring up trouble, telling him that since they have known each other for a long time, he thought about telling him everything, but Beomjin noticed how nervous that fool was. So he knew that he is lying. But he answered him that if the two of them trust each other a lot, he shouldn't be distrusting her. Sung-eun was annoyed and told him not to even think about getting between the two of them. But Beomjin didn't even pay attention to his words. And within a few minutes, Sung-eun left furious because he already knew that one day the two of them would have to meet. He had always realized that she never stopped thinking about Beomjin, that during that time he disappeared, he was always on her mind. And if it hadn't been because Jung-eun's mother fell ill, they would never have been able to get close to her. But in Jung-eun's heart, there was only Beomjin and he can do nothing. Although for this fool, there is always a hope that if he stays close to her, maybe one day they can be together. But now that he saw that she met with her first love, well, he was sure that she wouldn't hesitate to open her heart to him again, and that terrified him. And of course, finally, what he didn't want to happen happened like that. This dummy was hitting his car as if it were to blame. He was hurting himself, but I think he had a more hurt heart. He called Mrs. Kim to ask her if she had already found the house he had asked for, but now what he was going to charge her with is finding out more about Beomjin. He wanted to know where he lives and what he does. And Kim asked him if perhaps everything has to do with Jung-eun, but Sung-eun wasn't going to give her explanations. He simply gave her an order. Kim, to help him, asked him next week to go to the inauguration of a new gallery exhibition, and he must attend since everything was already prepared, even the suite where he was going to stay. In short, Sung-eun's mother already had everything prepared for him to marry Sarah. Sung-eun, annoyed, told her if perhaps she was implying that he spend the night with Sarah, and Kim answered him that either way, that will have to happen, since an engagement announcement is also scheduled for next month. Sung-eun was furious. He did not plan to get engaged to her. He planned to reject her proposal and find out for himself about Beomjin. But Kim told him that that will be difficult, although she had found out everything about Beomjin, and besides, he doesn't have common connections, thus surprising Sung-eun a lot. On the other hand, Jung-eun kept investigating, tying up loose ends of the relationship that Beomjin had with the company, and thought that perhaps Beomjin entered that job to collect the debt from June. She had so many doubts in her head, because if he really only desires to collect that money, he should have disappeared in the blink of an eye a long time ago, and he didn't do it. She was so thoughtful and remembered the kiss she gave him in the car. She felt confused, so she decided to go out to make herself a sandwich. But first she had to wash up, and she got a big surprise when she saw that Song-woo came out of the shower and not Beomjin as always. She asked him where Beomjin had gone, and he commented to her that he went to Seoul. Jung-eun wanted to know when he would return, but Song-woo didn't want to tell her anything. Jung-eun already realized that Beomjin had ordered Sung-woo not to tell her anything, and Jung-eun felt bad, because once again he had left like the last time, although at that she realized that he hadn't taken Sung-woo with him. So he commented to her that Beomjin ordered him to stay investigating something and to return later and to also take a bath before her so that the warm water would come out for her, for he won't drift away from her no matter where she went. Sang-woo, who has a loose mouth, accidentally let the word slip and ended up telling her why Beomjin went to Seoul. On the other hand, Sung-eun's mother was preparing for a very important meeting with a high-ranking investor. But what she didn't know is that that person was Beomjin himself. The trusted person of Sung-eun's mother commented to her that everything was already prepared for the meeting, and that Sung-eun will attend the exhibition along with Sarah. Sung-eun's mother was happy because that is what she wanted from the beginning. She asked Kim to treat her like a queen, and in the car, Sung-eun's mother thought that he won't be able to promote alone to the vacant director position, so he needs help since he is not someone ruthless, and he didn't captivate people easily either. So she, as his mother, had to take charge of positioning him in the company by her means. Hours later, Sung-eun's mother already arrived at her appointment. Beomjin had his back turned, and she thought that the person who would receive her would be an old man who supposedly is the boss. Beomjin poured her some French vodka with lemon, something that she likes a lot. In short, he knew everything about her very well. So she asked him how he had known about her tastes. Beomjin apologized if he offended her. He simply usually investigates the background of his clients. He introduced himself as Beomjin from JIC Financial. Hong Mei clarified to him that she expected a meeting with the leader of the company, but Beomjin commented to her that he does not attend external meetings, since some years ago he was stabbed, and although he is still alive, he needs to be at rest. They began to talk about business, but she seemed a bit distrustful, so Beomjin made it clear to her that if there was no trust between them, everything will end up messy. Hong-mi, in reality, did business with him because she needed money. And the one who knew all the strengths and weaknesses of this woman gave it to her without any problem, because if something goes wrong, well, she was the one who was going to lose. So, as a first payment, he asked her to give him some of the paintings from the gallery, and after closing the deal, he left. Hong-mi, upon being left alone, thought that, although she didn't know what kind of person Beomjin is, he was operating under the rules of a world completely different from hers. On the other hand, Junyeong received a call where she was requested in Seoul since she had to deliver a very important envelope to Seung-eun, who would be found at the hotel around 9:30. To Junyeong, it seemed a bit strange that they had charged her with that mission while being in Busan, but she knew she has to obey orders. She commented to Sang-woo that tomorrow it will be her turn to travel to Seoul, and Sang-woo, who wasn't going to leave her alone, told her let's go together in the passenger car, that he will accompany her since Beomjin had left him as her bodyguard. And what a cute bodyguard. Junyeong had only recently realized that in reality Sang-woo was by her side to protect her. So he commented to her that he is 28 years old, oh, like me, and that he met Beomjin when he was 20 years old. She wanted to know if Beomjin had a girlfriend at that time, and Sang-woo told her that at that age everyone wanted to be with him. But Beomjin had always been strict, and if someone tried to lay a hand on him, he dismissed them in a very rude way. What he was indeed a bit weak for was drinking liquor, because with a strong liquor, 2 little glasses, and he was already tipsy. And precisely on one occasion, when he had gone overboard with drinks, his friends had asked him why he distanced himself a lot from women, and he had clarified to them that every time he sees a woman, a face floats before his eyes. And obviously, it is about Jung-eun. That is why they had thought that perhaps his beloved had died. But now he was happy because he knows that is not so. The next morning at the hotel, Seung-eun was found along with Sarah in the same room. They had spent the night together. On the other hand, Jung-eun arrived at the hotel and right in front of Seung-eun's room, supposedly to deliver the documents he had left at the reception. And although she didn't like traveling, she knew that her job is like that. She rang the bell, and at that they opened the door. Seung-eun was shocked because he didn't expect to see her there. Jung-eun commented to him that she was there only to deliver an item that was supposed to reach his hands. Suddenly, a woman spoke from the room, making Seung-eun more nervous. Jung-eun, on the other hand, was calm and didn't understand why this man had so much nervousness. It's not like they were a couple. Jung-eun knew perfectly well that she had been set a trap, but not her, but Seung-eun. Because they knew perfectly well that if Jung-eun saw him with a woman, it would be an embarrassment that he wouldn't endure. Seung-eun tried to explain to her that it is not what she imagines, but it is. Although Jung-eun didn't ask for explanations, she asked him to be happy, for she knew that the person who is inside must be her, and she was only there to deliver what they had entrusted to her. However, deep down, Jung-eun knew that Seung-eun's mother had been very ruthless in using these methods to make him distance himself from her, because she doesn't even think about her own son's feelings. After delivering the envelope to him, Jung-eun left, but Seung-eun stopped her. Although she made it clear to him that he must be careful, since if he goes down to the reception in a robe, people will talk, and his reputation will be damaged. Seung-eun asked her to wait for him a moment until he changes, because he needs to talk to her. But Jung-eun made it clear to him that he has nothing to be ashamed of, because he had spent the night with the woman he plans to marry. Seung-eun was frustrated. He told her that if that is what she thinks, it means that he is nothing to her, and much more now that she had met again with Beomjin. Jung-eun, after thinking about it, already realized that Seung-eun had followed her. Now indeed, things got serious. Upon arriving at the reception, Jung-eun knew perfectly well that everything that had happened at that moment was because of Hong-mi, so that Seung-eun would feel more tied to Sarah, because she knew perfectly well that if someone could stir emotions in Seung-eun, it was Jung-eun. Besides the fact that she wanted to keep her controlled, but Jung-eun was no puppet that they can control. Jung-eun already more or less calculated what Seung-eun is going to say to her, and it is to confess his love again, and obviously again, she will have to reject him. And she no longer knew what consequences this would bring. Suddenly, Seung-eun approached Jung-eun and asked her to go in his car. But before anything else happened, Seung-eun's mother appeared, and along with her, Kim, and also Beomjin. She introduced Sung-eun while Jung-eun was in shock because she didn't imagine finding Beomjin in that place unless with that woman. Sung-eun's mother took her son to the art gallery, although the poor boy didn't care about going as he had plans to talk with Jung-eun, but everything had been ruined. Jung-eun, after being left alone with Beomjin, looked at him sideways. Now he was different, a total hottie in a suit, exciting her a lot. Jung-eun, breaking the silence, asked him, "What do they call a man who flees after receiving a kiss?" Beomjin told her that she had been the one who kissed him without even asking and without letting him answer. Like a total boss, she told him that if he had brought the car to take her to her office, and he, like a total obedient boy, accepted her order. Jung-eun asked him that way if it was a coincidence that he was at the hotel, but Beomjin, somewhat annoyed, told her no. He asked her if she perhaps believes he would go there knowing that she would be with Sung-eun. Jung-eun made it clear to him that she was only there to deliver some documents. And seeing that her little hottie was jealous, again, she gave him a kiss. But not on the mouth, but on the cheek, making him blush. The poor man in love asked her why she had done that, and she told him that it is because he is cute, and that if she was there, it is only to help with Sung-eun's wedding. But Beomjin felt insecure because he saw that Sung-eun has the same look as when he was at school. Jung-eun told him to look at her gaze toward him and tell her if anything has changed since then. Beomjin was left speechless, so he told her not to distract him because he was driving, and this seemed cute to Jung-eun. Suddenly, she asked him for the phone to call Song-woo because surely he was waiting for her outside the hotel. After calling him, she told her small, elusive cat to give her his phone number, and besides, she wanted him to already be clear with what he feels, for she wanted to complete the open book he had left behind. But Beomjin told her that this relationship they had was barely for one day, and Jung-eun, already annoyed, asked him if he perhaps desires that she marry another man. This indeed made Beomjin break immediately, and Jung-eun made it clear to him that she doesn't like to see him with another woman, that she hates when she cannot locate him and when he disappears suddenly. And if something happens to him, she wants to be the first to find out. But if he doesn't want to be together with her, then he must prepare a good gift for her wedding, or he has the option to go out with her. Beomjin told her that she doesn't know what kind of person he is, but Jung-eun wanted to try at least to know him, to know more about him. But Beomjin told her that once he starts something, he won't be able to stop, so it is better to stay still. Jung-eun, who knows how to blackmail him, asked him if then she should already look for another man. This made him get very uncomfortable. Obviously, he doesn't want anyone to get near her, and in the end, Beomjin ended up yielding to Jung-eun's charms, or it could be said that to her blackmails. So from that moment on, the two of them were boyfriend and girlfriend. Jung-eun, before getting out of the car, told him that at night she would return to Busan. So beforehand, she invited him to dinner. She demanded that he keep her phone number and that whatever happens to keep her informed. Beomjin knew that he cannot win against Jung-eun. She is like a storm that once you face it, you cannot avoid it easily. So in this case, the only thing he can do is throw himself into it. On the other hand, the foolish Sung-eun went to his house and upon entering, went straight to where Kim was and threw a tremendous slap at her. His mother, Hong-mei, didn't understand what was going, much less why he treated her like that. Seung-eun, furious, told her that she herself should ask her. His mother apologized, telling him that if it is for the house, well, it was all her fault because she was worried about him and made some small arrangements. But Sung-eun told her that what Kim had done was shatter something that he had been protecting with so much dedication. He asked her if she also agreed with what Kim had told him, and he referred to the trap she set for him with Sarah. She commented to him that if she was there, it was only for business matters. Sung-eun, annoyed, asked her if she perhaps didn't know that with the guy she was with is a criminal who had entered and left the police station. His mother, seeing him so disrespectful, gave him a slap and stressed to him that everything she is doing was only for his well-being, so the only thing he must do is be a good son and do what she asks of him. And finally now, Sung-eun understood how Jung-eun had felt the first time he invited her to his house. Minutes later, Hong-mei, annoyed, asked Kim to find out what had happened and why her son was acting that way. Kim commented to her that yesterday he agreed to spend the night with Sarah in exchange for the information about Beomjin, and that by the looks of it, he is very close to Jung-eun. Hong-mi now understood that what Seung-eun feared is that Beomjin take Jung-eun away from him. Kim commented to her what she had done to thus cut ties definitively between Seung-eun and Jung-eun. And Hong-mi, upon finding out about this, knew that Beomjin now has a weakness, and it is Jung-eun, which perhaps she can use to her benefit. Kim advised her that as her right hand, she should know more about the matters she was dealing with, him. But Hong-mi obviously wasn't going to reveal all her secrets to him, besides the fact that she already knew perfectly well that Kim was her right hand and didn't want to draw too much attention. Meanwhile, at the hotel where Jung-eun was staying, she received a message from Beomjin, who told her that he will stop by to pick up some things and then will go to see her. Jung-eun already had all her suitcases ready to travel, but suddenly, a noise was heard at the door, and it was Seung-eun. Jung-eun knew that avoiding him will be of no use, because either way he is stubborn and wouldn't leave so easily. So she opened the door. Right away, he asked her if she had changed the password, and she told him yes, because very soon she will travel to Busan. But Seung-eun asked her for 10 minutes of her time. Jung-eun accepted, but with the condition that they speak outside. Although this fool, without giving her time, entered and began to search in all the rooms. Jung-eun, very annoyed, told him what the hell he is doing, but Seung-eun only wanted to make sure that Beomjin wasn't with her. Jung-eun made it clear to him that what has to do with them doesn't matter to him, and that she had no reasons to hide him. Seung-eun stressed to her that he surely didn't tell her anything that he had met with him, since friends tell each other their things, and besides, he was the only person around her who knows Beomjin. Seung-eun approached her and told her that since long before his intentions were not just a friendship, she has always been the only one for him since school. He had strived a lot to get close to her, but she had never let him enter her heart. He had been with many women, but in his thoughts, the only one who appeared was her. Jung-eun knew that his words could affect any person, but in her, there was no type of feeling, because her heart is already occupied. Besides the fact that there was a big difference between Seung-eun and Beomjin, Seung-eun asked her to give him an opportunity to be able to win her over. He will do everything possible to give her the best. But Jung-eun rejected him again because she never in all of Nevers, never will look at him with eyes of love. Seung-eun knew perfectly well that it is because of Beomjin and clarified to her that he will never give her a good life. He doesn't even know what kind of person he is. But Jung-eun made it clear to him that since she met him, she has coexisted with him. She realized that by his side she feels good. Even at school, he was always by her side, for only with him was she free. She smiled again and even dreamed, so the only person to whom her heart belongs was Beomjin. Seung-eun could no longer bear the weight of that truth, but Jung-eun commented to him that last year, when he arrived from a trip and drank, he confessed to her that he had seen Beomjin before he left, and never told her anything. This surprised Seung-eun, and Jung-eun commented to him that when he was drunk, he had asked her that if she wishes to know what Beomjin had told him to tell her, and he told her that he had said that he was very sorry to have left her alone, and that's why. She made it clear to him that if she saw him with many women in bed, it wouldn't matter to her, perhaps disgust, besides the fact that she cannot forgive him for what he had done to her. By hiding from her what Beomjin told him, she clarified to him that perhaps if he had been sincere with her and had told her everything, she wouldn't have suffered so much. She wouldn't have had to be searching in every person who appeared for Beomjin. And if she has lived in that hell, it is only because of the silence of Seung-eun. She this time will not forgive him. But she did thank him because finally she was able to return with Beomjin and with the same feelings she had when she was at school. But suddenly this fool began to treat her badly. He took her by the wrist roughly to try to take her by force. Jung-eun, annoyed, told him to let her go. But this fool was maddened. He wanted to have his way by bad means. Jung-eun deep down felt a bit of fear because she had never seen Seung-eun so violent with her. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. For Jung-eun, it was her salvation. But this fool didn't let her open the door. Rather, it was he who opened it. Jung-eun was scared because she didn't know what was going to happen now. She needed to find a way to escape from his clutches. She even thought that if it was some neighbor, she could ask them for help. But upon opening the door, she was very surprised because it was Beomjin. She quickly managed to loose herself from Seung-eun. She threw herself on Beomjin, and with a killer look, Beomjin asked him if he goes very often around these places. Seung-eun, to provoke him, told him that it can be unexpected, but he visits this place almost always. Beomjin made it clear to him that if before it was like that, now it no longer is, and that if he doesn't want him to misinterpret him for being in another girl's room, it was best that he leave. Jung-eun, without looking at Sung-eun, hugged Beomjin tightly. Sung-eun, although he was dying of anger, decided to leave, but not without first warning Jung-eun to be careful upon going down to Busan. Jung-eun, after that, felt her legs weak, and Beomjin, realizing how nervous she was, asked her to look him in the face, but she didn't dare. So he told her that if she needed a hug, there were ways to ask for it, but she asked him how he had found her. Beomjin commented to her that it was Sang-woo who had called him because he had seen Sun-eun's car, and then, with the noise they heard, he had become alert. Jung-eun commented to him about the fight they had, and she had been putting up with him for so long, but this time everything had gone wrong. Beomjin realized that she was still trembling, and she simply asked him to hug her. Beomjin, in his mind, only cursed Sun-eun for what he had done to the person he loved so much. After already calming down a bit, Jung-eun commented to him, astonished that she had never seen that look of obsession in Sung-eun. Beomjin, upon checking Jung-eun's wrists, realized the marks that fool had left her and explained to her that it will be best to leave this apartment and live elsewhere. But since tonight she was going to travel to Busan, well, she didn't have to move yet. So, Beomjin told her to send the things with Sang-woo and that they will travel together by train, and when she returns to Seoul, she is going to live in his house, since it is not far from her work. Jung-eun was astonished. She told him that they were barely going on a date, not to go too fast, but this time Beomjin wasn't even joking. He told her that she must already know what Mrs. Hong-mi is doing, and that after what had happened with Sung-eun, he must also suspect them too. So it is safer that she remain in the house with him. Jung-eun deep down knew that her beloved was right, but she also knew that this hottie wants to use her as a little spy, and she, of course, is going to help him. Suddenly, Beomjin got very heated. He told her that this time he is not going to back down, and slowly approached her, giving her little kisses here and there. And although to Jung-eun this didn't bother her, she felt with much embarrassment because she wasn't used to this type of tension. But in contrast, Beomjin, just by having her close, his hormones drove him crazy. Beomjin, with a smile, looked at her and told her that he always thought that if one day by chance the two of them met, he wasn't going to do anything to retain her by his side. He apologized for having left her alone that day. And for a moment, Jung-eun again relived that tragic day in which she felt so empty and desperate when she woke up in that empty house. Amid tears, all the emotions began to come out, but this time, Beomjin was going to give her everything of Beomjin to calm the weeping of his beloved. He kissed her with passion and madness. And although to Jung-eun he now was a bit rough, she felt how her heart accelerated at an inexplicable rhythm. And so this pair of lovebirds ended up drowning their sorrows in a beautiful bed. What will happen with these lovebirds? Well, this we will know in a next video. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notification bell, leave your like if you liked it,